Our boy spent 11 years mastering a trash VR game that everyone else abandoned. He was the first and only person to clear the impossible final floor, but his reward for being the best? Absolutely nothing. He was ready to log off forever and wake up to reality, but reality decided to become the game instead. A massive, impossible tower crashes into the middle of Seoul. The system issues a global death sentence. Clear the next floor in 90 days, or humanity goes extinct. Most people would panic. Millions of terrified citizens stampede to escape, bleeding out on the subway stairs. But our MC just stares at the chaos. He knows exactly what to do, but before he moves, hit that subscribe button. 99% of you aren't subbed, and reaching 1,000 subs helps me make more god-tier recaps. Alright, let's get back to our boy, who just walked into a lockdown underground mall. He finds a crowd of shivering survivors, and among them is the absolute worst person he could have run into, Lee Jong-soo, a famous streamer who built his career by trapping our MC in a predatory slave contract. The trauma of that betrayal ruined his life. Now, this traitor has the audacity to smile and act like they are best friends. He demands our MC's help to survive, but our boy knows exactly how this guy operates, because the moment the hidden boss spawns, the traitor shows his true colors. He violently shoves our MC forward, directly into the path of a lethal attack. But Jin-hyuk is already smiling. He slips the giant root like it's moving in slow motion, and because of the game's strict aggro mechanics, the monster bypasses him and targets the traitor. It wraps him in a cage of crushing wood. The coward screams and begs for his life, but our MC just smiles back. He tells him to go call his lawyers, and the monster completely loses its mind. It starts swatting veteran players out of the air. It turns elite fighters into target practice, bathing the room in blood. People are screaming that this boss is impossible to beat. They drop to the floor in despair, but our boy steps right up to the beast. He reads the trajectory of every single branch. He weaves through a massive barrage of spikes. A lethal attack crashes right past his face. He deflects the next strike with his bare hands, forcing the monster to expose its hidden weak point. He knows exactly what to do. He snatches a broken piece of debris off the ground and grips it like a blade. The boss unleashes its ultimate defense, but his eyes are locked dead on the target. He swings his makeshift weapon and perfectly parries the incoming strike. He charges straight into the kill zone. The ground detonates around him. Roots explode into dust. Every single strike misses him by a hair. He spins past the final barrier. The floor shatters behind his feet. It looks like pure suicide to everyone watching. The monster even releases a massive wave of sleep powder, but he counters it by simply holding his breath. For our boy, this is just basic muscle memory. He carves straight through the defenses. He channels all his momentum, and he slams his weapon directly into the core. He doesn't hold back. The massive entity shatters from the inside out. He just cleared an impossible raid entirely solo. The system demands his name for the Global Hall of Fame, but he refuses to enter it because fame is absolutely worthless compared to the loot he just secured. The tree orb, a hidden item that nobody else even knew existed. He swallows it without a single second of hesitation. A brilliant light engulfs his entire body. He opens his status window and stares at stats that shouldn't even be possible. He is now officially the strongest level 1 human on the planet. To the rest of the world, this apocalypse is a living nightmare. But for our boy, who spent over a decade memorizing every single pixel of this game, this is just a massive playground. He holds the ultimate cheat sheet to reality, and he is the only one who knows what comes next. The internet loses its mind. A video of an unknown guy taking down a raid boss goes viral. Comments flood the screen. Viewers stare in pure disbelief. Corporate sponsors throw blank checks at the broadcast. Directors of massive tech firms offer billions. They want to recruit the mystery man. They want his power for their own agendas. Jin-hyuk sits back and judges them. They have no idea what the late game looks like. He scarfs down his food. $1 billion is pocket change compared to his true goals. He holds a monopoly on information, and he refuses to share a single drop. He grips his new stat orb. Knowledge is power. Monopoly is the only way to survive. He prepares for his next destination. The target is set. The system has a fun quirk. Historical replicas outside the tower transformed into genuine holy artifacts, and he knows exactly where to find the biggest stash. The National Museum of Korea. He expects a quiet heist. He figures most people will ignore the old relics, but he walks into a turf war. Other veteran players beat him to the punch. He looks at the chaos in surprise. The event area is a complete mess. Burned bodies litter the entrance. The new world rules made people bold. Everyone is hunting for a specific sacred object. The legendary Didong Yojido map. It displays hidden treasures and mazes scattered across the first 10 floors. Greed fuels the violence. They all want the advantage. Desperate survivors fight over trash. They break display cases and grab anything that looks expensive. A scream echoes through the hall. A thug decides to establish dominance. He grabs a man by the collar. He threatens to kill anyone who takes another step. He swings a heavy pipe to make his point. Jin-hyuk stands his ground holding a regular hammer. Unfazed, the thug points his weapon. He threatens to smash the kid's skull. The muscle spellbound idiot thinks he runs the room. He rips his shirt off to flex his awakened ability. The bystanders shrink back in fear. The thug stakes his claim on the map. Enter Min Jongwoo, the classic fake nice grandpa archetype. The thug tells the crazy old man to back off. Big mistake. Grandpa wears a warm smile and a fishing vest, playing the humble peacemaker. The thug threatens to wring his wrinkled neck. Grandpa's expression shifts into something cold. He snaps his fingers. He asks the thug a simple question. Which is faster? A spark ignites on his fingertip. The thug stares in horror. Magic is real. Grandpa throws a massive fireball. The flames surge forward. The thug is engulfed in a roaring inferno. He burns to ash on the spot. Welcome to the New World Order. Magic stats dictate who gets to breathe. Grandpa has a partner in crime, a girl named Lee Yuri. She steps up to secure the loot. She points her finger and activates her own relic. A stone statue glows with dark purple energy. Shadows twist and expand. She summons an Anubis beast. The monster hefts a scythe. It treats human limbs like chew toys. Yuri flashes a bright smile. She demands total cooperation. A bystander complains about the veterans hoarding all the gear, but a dropped hammer signals their surrender. Yuri claps her hands in mock gratitude. Then she hears a crunching sound. A shoe steps on broken glass. Jin-hyuk strolls forward. He tells them they made a mess. He plays along with the hostage situation. He picks up a ripped piece of canvas. Yuri calls him a heedless idiot. Her Anubis steps up to enforce the rules. She assumes she holds all the cards. She orders the beast to get rid of him. The monster swings its scythe for an execution. Jin-hyuk dodges the blade with a bored expression. The weapon buries itself in the concrete. Yuri gasps. The bystanders stare at the massive crater. They cannot believe a normal kid survived a direct attack. Jin-hyuk smirks. He asks Yuri what she plans to do without her weapon. She refuses to back down. She reaches into her bag. She pulls out a handful of miniature statues. 3 more Anubis beasts materialize from the shadows. Jin-hyuk feigns surprise to mock her. Yuri regains her arrogant confidence. She sends the entire pack to rip him apart. Jin-hyuk judges her mana pool. She packs a punch for a newbie. He compares her to the fireball grandpa. Both are dangerous veterans. Yuri thinks she has the upper hand. Jin-hyuk tells her she is out of her league. She thinks he is bluffing to save his life, so he decides to show her the overwhelming difference in their skill. He grips the ruined canvas. He tosses the fabric into the air. He channels a surge of raw mana into the ancient ink. The text announces the incarnation of the mountain ruler. A colossal, glowing spirit tiger erupts from the scroll. The beast makes her Anubis pack look like stray chihuahuas. The shadow monsters freeze in fear. Jin-hyuk gives the tiger a gentle pat. He asks why a desert jackal is bearing fangs. He points his finger at the enemy. He gives a single cold command. Eat them. The tiger lunges forward with a terrifying roar. The Anubis tries to defend itself. The tiger swats it away with a massive paw. The lesser relic crashes to the ground. It doesn't stand a chance. The statues fly across the room like broken toys. The tiger opens its massive jaws. It sinks its teeth into the shadow beast and rips it to shreds. Yuri stares in absolute shock. Her invincible army is gone. The spirit tiger looms over her tiny frame. The pressure in the room feels like gravity doubled. Her skin crawls. Her arrogance vanishes. She realizes she cannot win. She drops to her knees in defeat. Tears prick her eyes. She thought she was an apex predator. Now she is prey. Jin-hyuk approaches the trembling girl. He demands she empty her pockets. He flashes a villainous smile. Yuri stammers in confusion. Jin-hyuk names his prize, the mask of Tutankhamun. She tries to play smart. She claims the item is useless in Korea. Jin-hyuk gives her a deadpan stare. He hates repeat customers. He snaps his fingers. The tiger growls inches from her face. Negotiation over. She tosses her bag onto the shattered glass. He confiscates the cursed mask. Another piece of apparent junk added to his collection. Yuri asks if he wants the great map instead. Jin-hyuk shuts her down. She doesn't need to know his plans. He pets his tiger. He leaves the beast to guard the stairs. Nobody is allowed to follow him to the second floor. He smirks. Phase 1 of the heist is complete. He walks up the steps alone. He plans to obtain the strongest skill in the building. He reaches the restricted section. Grandpa spots him and starts sweating bullets. The old man asks who the hell managed to bypass his guard dog. A glowing blue energy wall blocks the main vault. Grandpa calls it a 1-star rank barrier. Jin-hyuk runs his hand across the magic shield. The old man warns him that physical attacks are useless. Jin-hyuk analyzes the mana flow. He spots the exact point where the energy diverges. The barrier pulses with raw power. A secret password flashes in his mind. Carpo. He tells the old man there is a way to break it, a special condition. Grandpa takes the bait. Jin-hyuk says the old man must use his fire magic without stopping. Grandpa asks how long he has to keep the flames burning. Jin-hyuk says until he goes inside and retrieves the relics. Grandpa realizes he has to do all the hard work while the kid loots the vault. The old man grits his teeth. feels like a scam. He demands a promise. Jin-hyuk must hand over the map. Jin-hyuk swears he won't betray a high-ranking mage. Grandpa buys the lie. He agrees to trust him. Jin-hyuk smiles and tells the old man to get to work. Grandpa unleashes a massive torrent of flame. He blasts the barrier with everything he has. The fire roars against the shield. Sparks fill the air. Jin-hyuk steps up and whispers the password. The barrier flickers open. He walks through the shield like it is made of air. Grandpa screams at him to hurry. His mana is draining fast. Jin-hyuk waves a hand. He promises to try his best. He wanders through the vault. He ignores a legendary iron sword sitting in a display case. He knows the old man put up the barrier to secure the best items. Grandpa plans to grab the map and leave everyone else in the dust. But Jin-hyuk finds what he really came for. An ancient coin necklace. Sangpyeong Tonghua. He has all the materials he needs. The Persian mold and the mask. I join the coins. A villainous grin crosses his face. The relics react to each other. A system message pops up for the hidden combination. He snaps the necklace string. The coins fall into his hand. Blinding golden light fills the room. He bypasses all known logic and fuses 3 trash items into one. He crafts the Eye of Truth, an SS rank cheat item that detects lies. The system confirms the impossible crafting requirement is met. He steps back out of the barrier. Crafting a high-tier item unlocks his true innate ability, fusion. He can now copy and store the skills of other players. The system details the rules. The condition for copying depends on the target. Grandpa is still outside, screaming his lungs out. Jin-hyuk sets his sights on the old man. He wants that fire magic. He checks the specific condition required for the theft. The old man blasts another wave of fire, exhausting his reserves. The system reveals the trick. Min Young-woo hides his true feelings under a polite mask. Jin-hyuk realizes he just needs to piss the guy off to steal his power. His smile turns downright demonic. This is his favorite game to play. Grandpa begs him to hurry. His mana is almost gone. Jin-hyuk casually tells him he can stop shooting fire. The old man freezes in confusion. Jin-hyuk strolls past the raging inferno. Grandpa demands to know why he made him waste his energy. Jin-hyuk reveals the truth. The barrier had a voice password. The old man's fire did 0 damage. He just blew his mana for nothing. Now comes the fun part, the insurance policy. Jin-hyuk holds up the legendary Didong Yojido map. He explains he already knows every secret of the first 10 floors. Grandpa stares at the paper in horror. Jin-hyuk pulls out a lighter. He explains that someone else getting the map is a risk to his monopoly. He sets the priceless artifact on fire. Grandpa loses his mind. The veins pop in his neck. The polite facade shatters into unhinged, screaming rage. The system chimes. Conditions met. Jin-hyuk successfully copies the B-rank fire element skill. The stolen magic saves directly into his memory bank. The old man swears bloody murder. He promises to make him pay. Jin-hyuk looks back with a mocking smirk. He activates his brand new toy. He summons a pillar of flame that dwarfs the old man's magic. Grandpa stares in pure terror. He recognizes his own skill, but the kid's version is a raging inferno. The old man realizes he is completely outclassed. Jin-hyuk leaves the veteran to sulk in his own failure. He walks out of the museum with his new arsenal. For top veterans tried to claim the prize today. Jin-hyuk stretches his arms. He beat them all to the punch. His status window proves it. He has the best early game setup possible. He tells the old man to grind some levels. He will be back for them later. He treats the deadliest players on Earth like his personal chess pieces. But he still has a long way to go. Having one body makes hoarding every skill a difficult task. His stomach growls. Time for a break. He heads out for some hot gukbap soup. He enters a local restaurant to find everyone glued to the screens. The patrons watch the news in absolute shock. The broadcast reports massive death tolls from the museum raids. Anchors explain that veteran players targeted specific relics. Global incidents mirror the chaos in Seoul. The Louvre in Paris is a war zone. Jin-hyuk realizes players worldwide made their move at the exact same time. Then the channel switches to CCTV footage. The news shows his spirit tiger ripping the Anubis apart. People in the restaurant recognize the viral video from the internet. Jin-hyuk pulls his collar up. Fame is a liability. The government is taking aggressive measures. Chief Han Sang-jin of the Awakened Association gives a press conference. Jin-hyuk watches the man closely. The chief promises massive salaries and government ranks to powerful players. He offers a blank check to the mystery man who defeated the mangrove boss. Other diners whisper in jealousy. A life-changing offer. Jin-hyuk smirks. He thinks they are gullible fools. He has zero intention of wearing a government leash. The chief knows one skilled veteran is worth 100 average fighters. Jin-hyuk studies the politician's face. He figures the head of the association must pack a powerful skill. He plans to copy that magic the next time they meet. He turns his attention to the clock. It strikes 7. The massive tower of trials lights up the night sky. The true game finally begins. A glowing blue portal opens at the base. People float toward the entrance, drawn by the magic. Huge crowds push and shove in a desperate bid to survive. Jin-hyuk calls them a bunch of clueless newbies. The system deposits 100 gold coins into his inventory. Coins are the currency of the new world. Players can upload videos of their achievements else for cash, or rely on the ultimate monetization tool, the live broadcast feature, a system that lets interdimensional beings watch humans fight to the death. Viewers donate coins and boost a player's chances of survival. Jin-hyuk touches his chin. His streaming career was a total failure before the apocalypse, but in this twisted reality, his skills are pure entertainment. The system is a goldmine waiting to be tapped. Earning coins will be a breeze for the man who knows every secret. The desperate crowds rush toward the easiest farming zones. Someone bumps into Jin-hyuk in their panic to get ahead. He notes their frantic rush to clear the tower. Everyone wants to be the hero. Jin-hyuk plans to hoard his videos. Leaking knowledge for cheap coins is a massive loss. He takes the road less traveled. He ventures into the darkest, most dangerous corners of the ruins. He retraces the steps he memorized 1,000 times in the simulation. With a torch in hand, he walks into the shadows. The undisputed king of the tower is ready to claim his throne. 6 years ago, he stared at his screen with an overwhelming sense of betrayal. The system gave him one final prompt. He had devoted his entire youth to raising this character, grinding through the lower floors when everyone else quit. His finger hovered over the yes button. The avatar shattered into digital dust. He made a promise to himself right then. Next time he would reach the top. That memory still drives him today. He stands before a massive, skull-carved archway. This is Labyrinthos, a B-rank difficulty maze located right on the first floor. Most people avoid this place. The death rate is absurd. He places his hand on the intricate stone seal. The massive doors rumble open under his push. He steps into a grand corridor glowing with ethereal blue light and floating spirits. It looks exactly the same as the old game. Even the smell of ancient dust and magic matches his memories. A nostalgic grin crosses his face. Luminous moths flutter through the cold air above him. One descends slowly from the swarm. He lets the insect land right on his fingertip, but his sharp eyes catch something moving in the shadows. A group of players trails him into the ruins. The girl in front greets him with a bright, fake smile. Flashback 10 minutes. They watched him open the door without a key. The red-haired guy suggested following him inside. Another hesitated, fearing the unknown mechanics of the maze. The girl dismissed the danger, citing early tower zones. Her logic: if a level 1 player could enter, it had to be a beginner zone. Present. Jin-hyuk stares down the dark hall. She assumed he was just a clueless kid holding on to valuable loot. She flashed a sinister smirk. Her plan was simple. Use him as a meat shield, take his items, and leave him in the maze forever. Back to reality, Jin-hyuk's eye of truth activates. He pulls up Park Hannah's stats. He skips past the basics and zeroes in on her skills. She possesses communion, an ability that forces people to trust her. The theft condition: spend 240 hours alone with her. A demonic vision of her true nature flashes in his mind. He grins, marking her as his next prize. The red-haired guy introduces himself as Jang Kyolsik. Another girl steps up, introducing herself as Lee Hyaman. The guy with the glasses and the blonde kid chime in next. Jin-hyuk gives them a warm, fake smile. He knows they plan to backstab him, so names do not matter. Hannah steps closer, hooking her arm around his. She looks up at him with wide, innocent eyes and asks about his experience level. Her communion skill triggers. A false aura of romance and trust washes over the space. He forces a blush and pushes her back to sell the act. Hannah laughs internally, thinking the bait worked. He plays the naive guide, explaining the basic monsters. He turns back to the dark corridor. He points out that the maze changes shape on a timer. The group stares blankly, not grasping the mechanic. The floor beneath the blonde guy shakes. He stumbles as the ruins roar to life. Hannah panics, realizing this is not an easy zone. A massive stone block shoots out from the wall. Kyolsik screams for her to watch out. She leaps forward as the stone grazes her back. Kyolsik points to the ceiling above the glasses kid. Another pillar slams down, crushing the floor. Dust clouds the air as the shifting stops. Hannah pants, staring in horror. Kyolsik realizes someone is missing from their party. Jin-hyuk dusts off his jacket, unfazed. Hannah turns on him, demanding answers. She yells at Hyaman to find an exit. Hyaman cries, revealing her navigation skill deactivated. The realization hits they are trapped. Kyolsik glares at the boy who led them in. Jin-hyuk dismisses the complaints. Hannah's facade drops into pure rage. She screams, asking why he withheld the trap patterns. Her boots stomp the stone in frustration. She blames him for their injuries. The rest of the guys point fingers, blaming him for the missing girl. Jin-hyuk sighs, tired of the whining. He levels a dead stare at her. He reminds them nobody forced them to follow him. The blonde guy snaps, igniting a blue energy baton. He swings the weapon to teach the kid a lesson. His face contorts with anger. A massive double-bladed axe intercepts the baton. The boy crashes backward from the shockwave. Hyaman screams in sheer panic. A giant, fur-covered hoof stomps the ground. The impact echoes like thunder. Another stomp shakes the dust loose. A hulking beast drops right in front of them. The blonde guy stares up at the towering minotaur. The monster rips its axe from the stone. Debris scatters across the hall. The beast roars, drowning out their terrified screams. Hannah's face drains of color. Jin-hyuk tells them to clear the path. He lunges forward, charging the towering threat. Hannah watches his suicidal run with wide eyes. The minotaur winds up a devastating swing. The axe slices down, cleaves the space where Jinhyuk just stood. The teen leaps right over the massive blade. He bounds backward, landing clean on his feet. A thin cut opens on his cheek. The system chimes. He acquired the hidden gap stat. He lands, a thrill rushing through him. He wipes the blood from his face. The Chapter 11 title appears. The gap stat narrows the power difference against stronger foes. The system notes it grants a level boost for every 3 points. He vaults off the beast's arm, treating it like a springboard. He lands in a crouch, magic surging around him. This is the best way to farm levels as a beginner. He stares the beast down, his eyes sharp. The Minotaur roars, charging him. He dodges an earth-shattering blow, earning another point. Dust fills the air as the axe repeatedly misses his body. The beast swings its weapon with terrifying momentum. Jinhyuk dives backward, securing another fraction of a point. He evades every strike. Power means nothing if it doesn't hit. The guy with the glasses watches the impossible acrobatics. Hannah trembles, realizing they tried to rob a monster. The beast snorts, frustrated by its elusive target. Jinhyuk mocks its flailing swings. The Minotaur howls, swinging a desperate vertical strike. The giant axe crashes down right past him. He explains that getting stronger quickly is simple. You just bet your life on the line. The higher the risk, the greater the reward. The system registers a near-fatal evade. The stat rises by a full point. He catches his breath, blood dripping from his hand. He looks at the scratches, a cheap price for a permanent boost. But one wrong step will end his run permanently. He notices the newbies trying to slip away in the background. Hannah reaches for her friend, desperate to escape the crossfire. Jinhyuk steps directly into their path. Hannah freezes, the blood running cold in her veins. She looks up terrified. He points to the raging monster behind him, suggesting they join in. The Minotaur raises its axe for another devastating hit. The giant hand reaches out. Jinhyuk grabs Hannah's collar and yanks her back. She screams as the blade passes inches from her face. The weapon shatters the pillars, filling the hall with flying stone. Hyolsik crashes onto his backside, scrambling away from the impact. Jinhyuk chides her for standing frozen during an attack. He turns his attention back to the raging beast. The Minotaur grips its weapon with both hands. It unleashes a deafening roar. The floor cracks open beneath its feet. Blue lightning arcs across the stone. A shifting wall slides down to separate them. Jinhyuk waves goodbye with a smirk. The barrier drops, sealing the beast away. The Minotaur snorts in pure rage. It slams its axe into the stone divider. The ancient metal holds strong against the impact. Hannah drops, hyperventilating. The survivors collapse, asking if the nightmare is over. Jinhyuk holds up a glowing moth, noting the beast tracks the residue. Hannah yells, demanding to know why he invited the attack. He states his goal clearly. He needed the stats. He scoops up a fallen dagger. He outlines the plan. Rest when the maze shifts. Fight when the beast returns. Hannah stares at him, dreading the answer to her next question. He tells them this continues for exactly 1 month. Hyolsik grips his head, panicked by the time frame. Jinhyuk offers them the choice to walk away. He knows they lack the map to survive without him. The pair stares down the menacing hallway. He twirls the dagger, holding all the leverage. Hannah grits her teeth, accepting her trapped fate. He flashes 2 fingers, reminding her that nothing is free. He points the blade at her throat. Outside the tower, Hamosu bashes a goblin with his shield. A swarm of monsters surrounds the spear-wielding player. He deflects a blade, throwing his weight against the attacker. A stream overlays his fight, bragging about the fastest completion time. Chat users praise his 15-hour solo run. Viewers declare him the ultimate veteran. In a gaming room, Hamosu looks back, cheering at his victory. His guildmates celebrate the viral success behind him. He rubs his nose, soaking up the digital glory. His friend reminds him the footage was heavily buffed and edited. Hamosu's eyes suddenly dart to the screen. The chat is turning on him, citing a faster clear. He tries to play it off, claiming pioneers always draw hate. His friend stammers, pointing at a new system alert. A video titled +10 Strengthening takes the top spot. Hamosu grabs the kid by the shirt, staring in shock. The chat explodes over the impossible math of a +10 item. Users calculate the microscopic odds of success. Hamosu shouts, unable to comprehend the cheat. The video displays the solo max level newbie title. Flashback to 10 minutes ago in Labyrinthos. Jinhyuk barks orders at the stragglers. He tasks them with gathering moss for beds and wood for a fire. Hyolsik glares at him, but complies. Jinhyuk opens the coin exchange system. He looks at his massive balance of 5,000 coins. He browses the floating blue catalog. He purchases F-rank tarot cards for 70 coins. He adds a broken bronze key and a wooden wheel. He buys 10 of the lowest tier enhancement scrolls. He smiles, knowing this literal garbage holds a hidden formula. His finger hits the purchase button. The system system verifies the transaction. He channels magic into the 3 components. The interface registers the combination. Blinding light erupts from his hands. The items fuse into an ornate golden wheel with angelic wings. He secures Fortuna's wheel, an S-rank item that maximizes luck. The tool is useless for regular players who do not know their luck limits, but he remembers every mechanic from the game. He spins the wheel, raising his luck stat to absolute maximum. He tosses the 10 enhancement scrolls into the air. Their base success rate is effectively 0. With his buff, the probability hits 100%. He thrusts his dagger into the glowing scrolls. The system cascades with success messages, hitting +10. The blade hums with dark purple energy, a maximum level weapon. 10 days pass. Hannah and Kiolsik huddle together, shivering. A meager fire of twigs burns on the floor. They sleep on a patch of dirty moss. Kiolsik aggressively chews a raw mushroom. Jinhyuk rests near the flame, catching some sleep. The Minotaur attacks run on a strict timer. The teen uses every encounter to boost his stat, treating the lethal beast like a toy. An anonymous chat overlay criticizes his psychopathic behavior. Hannah reads the stream comments, searching for a weakness. The chat reveals all his past videos and accounts have been wiped. He refuses to use his real name or build a follower base. They assume he is an absolute solo player aiming for the top. The viewers mock the newbies for being chosen as supporters. Hannah buries her face in her knees, humiliated. She glares sideways, waiting for her brother's rescue. The chat confirms a rescue team is 3 weeks away. Kiolsik snaps, fed up with waiting. He watches Jinhyuk sleep by the fire. He suggests they murder the guide and hide until help arrives. He swallows hard, building up the nerve. He grabs a jagged rock from the debris. He stands over the sleeping boy, raising the stone high. He tightens his grip, preparing for the strike. He swings his arm down toward the boy's head. Hannah grabs his wrist mid-air, stopping the blow. She whispers a physical attack is useless against his reaction speed. Kiolsik demands another solution. Hannah digs into her bag, declaring they won't be victims anymore. She reveals a green stinger, a lethal poison from the Crow Guild. Her eyes glow with murderous intent. Jinhyuk wakes up, his expression unbothered. He looks at the pathetic meal of roasted moss and mushrooms. Hannah offers it with a forced, sweet expression. He asks Kiolsik to pass some water. The moment their eyes avert, he switches his plate. Kiolsik stuffs the food into his mouth. He suddenly spews black blood, choking on the poison. He collapses backward, convulsing as the toxin works. Jinhyuk stands up, mocking their obvious trap. The boy twitches on the floor, dying. Jinhyuk pulls up a blue screen, preparing a report. Hannah panics, realizing her hidden broadcast is exposed. He cites the rule streams are only allowed during boss encounters. The system asks if he wants to proceed with the penalty. He tells her she needs to control her facial expressions. He smirks, calling her a disappointment. His finger taps yes. Red warning rings lock onto Hannah. The chat anonymity is removed. The viewers instantly log out to avoid the ban. The stream count drops to 0. The system warns of a permanent ban for repeat offenders. The interface changes her fate to a harsh penalty. A massive crash echoes behind them. The Minotaur rips through the wall. The beast roars, spotting its targets. Jinhyuk steps forward. Hannah cowers, begging him for the exit. He mocks her sudden change of heart after trying to poison him. He grabs her collar, lifting her off her feet. The system confirms 240 hours have passed. He copies her communion skill. He drops her, declaring she is no longer needed. She screams, threatening him with her brother's wrath. He pushes her aside without a second thought. He lunges across the ruined hall toward the Minotaur. He tells her to watch and learn who she should really fear. He readies his purple blade. He slides under a massive sweeping attack. He slashes the beast's arm, noting the cut is too shallow. The impact throws him back, but the damage registers. He lands safely, realizing a regular kill is impossible. He narrows his eyes, focusing on a new strategy. He ducks beneath the sweeping battle axe. He activates the fire element skill. Flames explode from the blade, igniting the monster's fur. The beast stumbles backward, enraged by the burn. It slams its fist into the ground as Jinhyuk stands ready. He twirls the dagger, mocking the monster's tough meat. He grins, waiting for the trap to spring. The beast's eyes ignite with blinding red light. The system confirms the Minotaur activated level 10 Berserker. A pillar of energy erupts from the monster. Jinhyuk readies his stance, welcoming the challenge. He mutters that he is almost at the goal. The beast swells with newfound power. Its eyes burn like literal fire. The chapter 14 title splashes across the screen. The Minotaur launches a barrage of heavy fist strikes. It screams, channeling toxic green lightning. Jinhyuk steps back, holding the dagger defensively. Hannah watches, terrified by the sheer scale of the power. The monster radiates pure destruction. The title card shows the level 10 badge. The system explains the massive stat boost the skill provides. The beast gains the ability to speak. It vows to rip the human apart and spread his pieces. It charges the axe trailing green energy. Jinhyuk grips the blade, feeling the surge of his own magic. He challenges the beast directly. The monster brings the weapon down. Jinhyuk blocks the strike, sparks flying from the impact. The clash sends him skidding across the stones. Hannah cannot believe he is surviving this. She realizes he stopped dodging firing and is absorbing the hits. The Minotaur strikes again, wielding power that would break an entire guild. She stares at the boy, unable to process his tactics. He meets the axe edge to edge. A massive metallic crash rings out. He pushes back, flashing a wild grin in the middle of the chaos. To him, the beast's movements feel sluggish. A bright flash envelopes the screen. He remembers feeling helpless in the game when his progress halted. The gap stat reaches level 57, confirming his cheat works. He remembers the desperate grinds of his past lives. He swings his blade, pushing the beast backward. The stat climbs with another deflected blow. The Minotaur reels from the precise counterattack. Boulders rain down from the crumbling ceiling. Jinhyuk flips away from the collapsing stone. He dashes forward, closing the distance. The monster dismisses his efforts as petty tricks. He swings a desperate downward chop. Jinhyuk parries the heavy blade. He pivots his foot, anchoring himself. He weaves beneath the swing, completely avoiding the damage. The 5-minute berserker timer runs out. The beast freezes. It growls in slow motion, stripped of its speed. The system explains the penalty, 24 hours of suspended animation. The beast drops. Jinhyuk checks his 57 gap points. He still has 20 days to hit the cap of 100. He turns back, holding a glowing lantern. Hannah asks if the nightmare is over. He reminds her they still have almost 3 weeks left. 20 days later, the final strike lands. Jinhyuk bursts through a stone wall, closing in on his prey. The frozen Minotaur stands helpless. He delivers a right slash, raising the stat. He follows with a low slash, farming the final points. The gap stat hits level 100. The grind is complete. The beast unfreezes, roaring as its health depletes. Crashes down, its massive frame giving out. It dissolves into light and data. The system flashes the reward screen. Jinhyuk stomps on the beast's horn, claiming his victory. He says goodbye to his favorite punching bag. He turns his attention back to Hannah. She flinches, dreading his next move. He announces he is hiring an intern. She looks hesitant. He asks if she isn't interested. She quickly changes her tone, begging for the position. He asks what skills she brings to his company. She offers communion. He blankly tells her he already copied it. She drops to her knees, promising blind loyalty. He glares down at her, entirely unimpressed. He tells her she failed the interview. His eyes flash with dangerous purple light. She screams in panic, offering him Braham's ring. She reveals her brother's deal with the Chinese Guild for Korean ginseng. He processes the intel. The Raven Guild wants the ring. The Eye of Truth confirms her desperation is genuine. He accepts her application. He lists the terms: 0 pay, always on call, 0 excuses. She stammers, asking about a contract. He summons Fire Element and Communion simultaneously. The system fuses them into a new brand. He grasps the glowing blue flame of Soul Stigma. He grabs her shoulder, ignoring her protests. He shoves the burning seal toward her chest. She screams as the magic brands her skin. The labyrinth is cleared. They step out into the sunlight. She checks her status. The system rewarded her with 5,000 coins. He calls her intern. He holds out his hand, demanding the coins. The funds transfer into his massive fortune. He points a finger, giving her 3 days to bring the ring. He shortens it to 2 days, igniting his hand to secure her agreement. She clutches the glowing burn mark and nods. Chapter 15 begins. A news anchor reports on the Dangun Guild's plan to raid the 3rd floor. They are the #1 guild, carrying heavy expectations. With other countries struggling, Korea's top players feel the pressure. Jinhyuk watches the broadcast on a street billboard. Experts predict the guild can handle it alone. Jinhyuk scoffs. Rushing the 3rd floor is reckless. He knows they just want to be first on the leaderboards. The tower enforces a 90-day limit per floor. Without building stats on the lower levels, rushing up is fatal. The difficulty curve will eventually hit them like a wall, and there is no reset button for extinction. He heads to his apartment to gather intel. The rundown room is exactly how he left it. He pulls out his phone, needing trustworthy sources. He browses the chaotic tower community forums. He types a keyword to locate his old gaming crew. He walks into a bright, busy cafe. A guy in a ridiculous bee costume introduces himself as Lee Taemin. A girl in boxing gloves and a floatai introduces herself as Yu Yanawa. Jinhyuk stares. Their real-life personas are a shock. These are top-tier veterans from his game days. His Eye of Truth scans Taemin's level 11 stats. Taemin possesses the Machine King ability, perfect for hacking. He checks Yanawa, level 12 with massive physical power. Her Taekwondo devotee ability makes her a tank. The copy condition requires them to clear the 20th floor together. Taemin waves a hand, breaking Jinhyuk's concentration. Jinhyuk introduces himself using his old, embarrassing handle. Taemin recognizes him, shocked that he was a streamer. Jinhyuk admits he quit streaming a long time ago. Taemin laughs, treating him like an old friend. Jinhyuk notes their easy, familiar dynamic. He remembers the traitors and killers he dealt with recently. He feels much more comfortable with these two. They sit at the table, sharing critical information. Taemin details the movements of the global top guilds. They discuss the streaming landscape. He warns Jinhyuk about a group called Demon that kidnaps players. Taemin asks if Jinhyuk spent the whole month hiding. He asks if Jinhyuk took the Awakened Association test. The scene cuts to a massive traffic jam in Seoul. Taemin explains the high death toll caused the government to restrict access. Only those who pass the test can climb the tower. Manhwa shows off the barcode tattoo required for entry. Jin-hyuk figures the association CEO is just hoarding powerful players. He smiles, planning to exploit their system. They arrive at the towering Awakened Association headquarters. Players are judged on a ranking system. F ranks are disqualified, while high ranks get guild offers. The crowd outside is split between desperate hopefuls and greedy recruits. Photographers scan the area for famous players. A reporter spots a high-profile arrival. Park Hannah and her brother, Hajin, walk toward the entrance. A commotion behind them grabs everyone's attention. Kim Jaitai, a massive brute from the Fighting Dads Guild, approaches. He glares over his sunglasses, annoyed by the crowd. He tells his men to clear the path. He warns Hajin not to mess up the test. Hajin forces a confident smile, promising a good result. Jaitai's goons violently shove bystanders aside. Taemin gets pushed back by the aggressive guards. Jaitai glares at a boy standing perfectly still in the designated path. Jin-hyuk holds up his ticket, refusing to move. Hajin steps up, grabbing Jin-hyuk's shoulder to play the enforcer. Jin-hyuk swats the hand away without flinching. The crowd gasps, recognizing Hajin's status. Jin-hyuk's eyes glow, activating the Eye of Truth. He reads Hajin's stats and lethal sneak attack ability. The copy condition is simple: maximize the target's hostility. Jin-hyuk smiles. That will be easy. Hajin loses his temper, swearing at the stubborn kid. Hannah recognizes Jin-hyuk, her face turning pale. Hajin points a finger, threatening to destroy him. Jin-hyuk grabs the extended finger in a flash. He snaps it backward with a sharp crack. Hajin screams, dropping to his knees. Enraged, he swings his good arm at Jin-hyuk. Taemin yells for everyone to step back. Jin-hyuk ducks the wild punch effortlessly. He sweeps Hajin's leg, sending him crashing onto his back. The crowd murmurs, thinking Hajin just tripped over his own feet. Hannah watches in absolute terror. Jaitai steps forward, activating his own authority. Jin-hyuk's scan fails. Jaitai is over level 20. Jin-hyuk brushes off the threat, calling Hajin a useful idiot. He stares at Jaitai and drops the words Korean ginseng. Jaitai freezes, shocked that a kid knows his guild's secret. The bystanders whisper, catching the illegal trade keyword. Jin-hyuk waves his hand, ignoring the giant's anger. He offers a solution to the fatal poisoning side effect of the raw ginseng. Jaitai instantly deploys a blackout barrier, plunging them into darkness to silence the leak. Taemin shouts as his friend disappears inside the dome. Inside, Jaitai's eyes glow with lethal intent. Manhwa holds Taemin back outside the black wall. Jaitai demands to know if Jin-hyuk wants monopolized dungeon access. Jin-hyuk conjures a hologram of the powerful root. He explains that eating it raw triggers magic poisoning. He holds up 3 fingers, listing the exact cure: Corasian's extract, Moonlight Stone, and Mandragora root. Jaitai realizes the information matches his research team's private notes, but the brute summons a glowing broadsword, pointing it right at Jin-hyuk. He warns the kid that if this is a trick, he will not survive. Inside the dark dome, Jaitai attempts to set a hard boundary. He demands 10 exclusive dungeons in exchange for the poison cure. Jin-hyuk does not even blink. He tilts his head, entirely unfazed by the glowing broadsword pointed at his chest. He reminds the brute who actually holds the leverage in this room. The opportunity for survival belongs to him alone. The pressure drops. Jaitai falls to his knees, coughing up blood as the raw ginseng poisoning ravages his internal organs. Outside the dome, the crowd waits in tense silence. Manhwa takes a fighting stance, ready to smash through the darkness to save her friend. The black walls dissolve. The system registers the barrier's removal. Jin-hyuk strolls out of the shadows with his hands in his pockets, leaving a broken guild master in his wake. Taemin panics, checking the kid for missing limbs. Hajin points an accusing finger, demanding to know what illegal trick the rookie pulled inside the dome. He grabs his chest, his bravado writing checks his skills cannot cash. Jiddy emerges behind him. His hand wraps around Hajin's throat with bone-crushing force. He lifts the rising star off his feet. Jaitai warns him that the quiet kid is not a target he can handle. Hajin chokes, his eyes rolling back. Jaitai tosses the boy to the concrete. He glares at Jin-hyuk one last time, promising future retribution before walking away. The system chimes. Maximizing Hajin's hostility fulfills the theft condition. Jin-hyuk secures the shallow breathing skill, saving it directly into his memory bank. He smirks at the coughing boy on the floor. Getting a free stealth skill out of an amateur's temper tantrum is a massive win. He heads inside the Awakened Association. The examiner explains the test mechanics. Strike the floating crystal to measure innate potential. Jin-hyuk pulls his purple dagger. The examiner rolls his eyes. He taps his tablet, assuming the kid lacks any real magical talent. He directs Jin-hyuk toward the lowest tier stone. Jin-hyuk ignores the instruction and steps right up to the glowing mid-grade crystal. He channels his magic. Red lightning arcs across the steel. He swings a brutal diagonal arc. The blade connects. The indestructible stone splits clean 16 in 2. The tablet registers an impossible number. Over 20,000 magic power points. An instant S-rank classification. The examiner stares at the screen, sweating in sheer panic. He promises to report this anomaly to his superiors immediately. Jin-hyuk steps in close, grabbing the man's clipboard. He demands a 1-week delay on the official report. The examiner stammers, citing protocol. Jin-hyuk leans in, a shadow casting over his face. He points the glowing dagger right at the man's chest. He reminds him that a blade in the room carries much more weight than a law in a book. The doors to the association slide open. He walks out, dodging the government radar for now. Park Hannah waits outside, gripping a glowing red band. She hands over Graham's ring, tears streaming down her face. She begs him to remove the burning slave brand from her chest. He raises his hand to strike her. She flinches, throwing her arms up in defense. Taemin and Yanawa watch the exchange. They assume their friend is bullying a weak F-rank girl. Jin-hyuk lowers his hand, explaining it is just a temporary arrangement. He plays the innocent victim for his veteran friends. He opens the taxi door. He tells Yanawa to keep climbing the tower while he prepares for his second exam. Most players choose basic goblin caves for their advancement test. Easy targets, low risk. He stands before the colossal bone gates of the Hall of the Depraved, the deadliest ruins on the entire first floor. As an unregistered rookie, he cannot enter a regulated dungeon alone. He straps a massive yellow cargo box to his back. The easiest way past the guild blockades is to register as a disposable luggage porter. A veteran porter spots him on the trail. He introduces himself, surprised to see someone so young taking this brutal job. The older man admits he needs the hazard pay to survive. He shows off his phone, a picture of his wife and kids. Jin-hyuk looks at the screen with a deadpan stare. In a survival game, guys holding family photos are always the first casualties. He assures the man that everyone will go home safe today. The older man bursts out laughing, treating the kid like an overly optimistic fool. A system alert flashes across Jin-hyuk's vision. A raid quest begins. The assault team arrives at the ancient stone temple. Sunlight reflects off the colossal ruined statues. A golden chest materializes in front of him. A hidden perk reserved only for the first player to conquer the tower in the old game. His luck and adaptability stats skyrocket by 10 points each. The cold heart passive unlocks. A mental shield that eradicates panic during lethal situations, trading human emotion for absolute focus. The monopolize passive follows. It guarantees him the absolute best reward from any loot pool, provided he hoards the final clear. In a world run by microscopic probability drops, he just eliminated chance entirely. The ruined gates hum with energy. Blue light floods the grand staircase. The captain of the Balhi Guild steps forward, clad in heavy silver armor. Jin-hyuk scans the confident leader. He activates his Eye of Truth. Song Chunhwa, level 14. A tank build reliant on basic defensive skills. The copy condition requires gaining his loyalty. Jin-hyuk grimaces. He has zero interest in earning the respect of a mediocre meat shield. A mage in purple robes steps up to light the path. He warns the porters to stay close or face a grim death in the dark. A red crystal illuminates the grand hall. The floor is littered with shredded monster corpses. The advance party did their job, clearing the initial fodder from the marble tiles. The main combat squad waves them forward. The porters lug the heavy gear toward the safe zone. Jin-hyuk surveys the area, noting the unusual lack of casualties. The veteran players relax, boasting about their perfect run. The older porter hands out water. He nudges Jin-hyuk to serve the foreign guests resting near the pillars. He whispers a warning about the temperamental elites. Two knights in pristine white and gold armor stand out from the local guilds. The crest of the European Zion Guild decorates their shields. Jin-hyuk narrows his eyes. Elite players from another continent cross borders just to raid this specific temple. He grabs a cup of ice water. He hands it to the smaller knight, playing the humble servant. He triggers his communion skill, forcing a subtle aura of trust between them. The knight removes her heavy helmet. Golden hair falls past her shoulders. Teresa du Laurentia, the saintess of Amsterdam, a global icon who saved her entire city from the outbreak. She drinks the water, her divine magic naturally repelling the ruins' dark energy. Jin-hyuk realizes exactly why a top-tier European player abandoned the higher floors for a beginner maze. He scans her status window. The system blocks his read. Her level is too high for a basic scan. His new adaptability perk kicks in, neutralizing the level gap. The stat window breaks open. Level 29. She possesses Blessing of the Stars, a top-tier healing and revival ability. He reads the copy condition. It requires him to save her life from a fatal situation. He hands her the cup with a warm smile, mentally mapping out a trap. He stares down the dark corridor. Generating a lethal threat for a level 29 paladin is going to take some serious engineering. Shouts echo from the scouting party ahead. The heavy boots of retreating soldiers echo in the dark. The captain sprints back, his face drained of color. A scout tripped a hidden pressure plate. The guardians of the ruins are awake. A massive red mechanical eye descends from the ceiling. A 10-minute countdown timer projects onto the stone. The sleeping bomb protocol summons an endless wave of defenders to purge trespassers. The captain grips his helmet in sheer panic. 10 minutes is not enough time to evacuate. His eyes widen as as he calculates the impending slaughter. Retreat means abandoning the mission and losing his hard-earned rank. He refuses to take the loss. He draws his broadsword and orders the team to push forward into the chaos. A subordinate begs him to reconsider. Without the backup party, pushing into an ambush is a death sentence. Manhwa glares at him. He banks their entire survival on the Saintess's divine magic carrying them through. Teresa overhears the suicidal plan. Stone grinding echoes down the hall. The first wave of armored guardians steps out of the shadows. An archer notches an arrow, laughing off the threat. He trusts the heavy hitters to handle the front line. A shadow drops from the ceiling. Blood arcs across the stone. The archer's head rolls across the floor. A rogue screams as the guardians swarm their flank. The captain barks orders, organizing a desperate shield wall. He commands the porters to fall back while the mages charge their spells. The tanks lock their iron shields together, bracing for impact. Buffs illuminate the air as the support casters chant their anthems. Blue fire erupts from a massive armored golem. The beast slams its fist into the shield wall. The iron buckles. The shockwave throws the defenders backward. The front line collapses. Healers scramble away from the crushing blows. The captain watches his formation shatter. He makes a split-second, ruthless call to save his own squad. He abandons the independent solo players, using them as bait so his guild members can retreat. The giant golems advance, their blue eyes locked on the stragglers. A young swordsman falls to his knees, crying as the guild leaves him to die. The shadows close in. A white boot stomps the stone. Teresa leaps in front of the abandoned fighters. She raises her glowing blade against the iron giants. She casts Sign of the Cross. A blinding pillar of holy light blasts the golems backward. The young swordsman stares up at his savior. Teresa stands firm. She realizes two guardians slipped past her strike. She dashes toward the rear to protect the helpless porters. The older porter lies bleeding against a pillar, his leg injured in the chaos. A golem raises an executioner's axe right above his head. Blue flames coat the heavy blade as it swings down. Jinhyuk steps in front of the fallen man. He catches the massive steel axe with his bare hand. He activates his fire element. A roaring inferno erupts from his palm, melting the weapon into slag. The monster stumbles back. Jinhyuk tells the older man he got lucky. He holds his dagger ready, the threat neutralized. He spots Teresa rushing toward them. He instantly shifts his demeanor. Teresa grabs the older man, promising to get him to safety. She turns her glowing eyes on Jinhyuk. She assumes he is the high-level traitor who tripped the alarm. She swings her blade at him to force a surrender. Jinhyuk backs away, playing the innocent victim. He asks if she intends to murder a defenseless porter. She doesn't buy the act. She charges, aiming to incapacitate him. He ducks under the sweeping strike. The stone shatters where he just stood. She pins him against the rubble, demanding answers. Her sword rests inches from his throat. He drops the innocent routine. He tells her that if he was the culprit, she would already be dead. The older porter yells for her to stop. He defends the boy who just saved his life. Teresa freezes, her eyes wide with embarrassment. She bows deeply, apologizing for her aggressive misjudgment. Jinhyuk accepts the apology while securing his leverage. She asks why a skilled fighter is hiding his rank behind a porter's badge. He reveals he knows her true objective, the Covenant of Peter, a legendary item hidden deep in these ruins. He offers an alliance, her divine magic paired with his labyrinth knowledge. The captain screams from down the hall, ordering her to regroup with the main force. He points a finger, furious that she is breaking formation. Teresa rejects the command. She points out he broke the contract by abandoning the solo players. The captain stammers, sweating under her cold glare. She demands the right to act independently to ensure the safety of the civilians. The captain relents, giving her permission to splinter off, provided she returns for the boss raid. She requests to bring one porter with her. The captain waves a hand, eager to dump the dead weight. He warns the remaining porters to avoid eye contact with the dark magic. Jinhyuk steps forward, volunteering for the suicidal mission. The older men try to pull him back. They beg him not to throw his life away for a pretty face. Jinhyuk drops his friendly facade. A terrifying aura spills from his body, forcing the men to release him. He instantly switches back to his cheerful persona, claiming his burning passion for love drives him forward. The veterans stare in absolute shock, mourning the loss of a hopeless romantic. Jinhyuk stretches his neck as they walk into the deeper shadows. He drops the act entirely. Ghouls and armored skeletons flood the corridor ahead. She calls his name, gripping her hilt. He points past the undead horde. A glowing sarcophagus sits at the center of the chamber. A blood-red barrier seals the coffin. He needs a way to break it. A system warning flashes. The owner of the Hall of the Depraved is watching them. Jinhyuk rubs his chin. The final boss, taking a personal interest in an intruder, breaks the game's standard logic. Teresa draws her sword, unnerved by the invisible gaze. Jinhyuk points a thumb at his own chest. He assumes the monster recognized his superior skills. She ignores his arrogance and asks for the strategy to clear the room. He tells her the plan requires her to do all the heavy lifting. Teresa leaps from the balcony, dropping directly into the swarm of ghouls. She crashes onto the stone, drawing the attention of every monster in the chamber. A ghoul shrieks, lunging at the holy knight. She activates Battle Song. A golden golden crest materializes, boosting her combat stats for 10 minutes. She carves through the undead, drawing pure aggression. She raises her sword, channeling sacred reinforcement to blind the dark creatures. A shockwave of divine light erupts from her blade. The ghouls scream, burning under the holy aura. She dances through the horde, striking with precise, lethal arcs. The undead shatter into dust around her. Jinhyuk slips through the chaos unnoticed. He uses the monster's distraction to bypass the front line. A massive surge of dark lightning arcs across the ceiling. The bolt strikes the floor, detonating the stone. An elite lich rises from the crater. A hidden boss wielding a crimson staff. Jinhyuk readies his dagger. He expected this spawn. A giant armored fist swings from his blind spot. A Dullahan crashes into the hall. The variable spawn shifted because he brought a high-level paladin into the zone. The lich fires a stream of black lightning at the giant knight. A direct hit from that spell means instant death for a veteran. Jinhyuk dodges backward as the crimson energy scorches the floor. He flips out of the blast radius, escaping the lethal voltage. The dark lightning arcs toward the sarcophagus. The beam hits the blood-red seal. The magic barrier shatters like glass. The lich accidentally destroyed its own vault defense. The Dullahan charges Jinhyuk, swinging a massive gauntlet. Jinhyuk parries the heavy metal with his dagger, skidding across the tiles. He smirks. The heavy hitter just gave him an opening. Teresa holds the line against the horde, completely occupied. The lich points a skeletal finger at the solitary human, mocking his chances. The undead mage prepares another strike. Jinhyuk stares past the monster. Someone else just entered the room. A leather boot steps directly onto the lich's skull. A man in a dark coat crushes the boss into the stone with casual ease. Cheon Yuziong draws a longsword. His eyes glow with manic blue energy. Jinhyuk sighs. He knows exactly who the psycho is. Yuziong is a level 29 swordsman. He stalked Jinhyuk across the old game, demanding rematches despite losing every single time. The system identifies a new copy condition. Defeat Yuziong using his own weapon of choice, a sword. Yuziong wields the Iron Sword of Qianlong, the legendary relic stolen from the National Museum. A flashback hits. Yuziong lost a virtual reality duel to Jinhyuk years ago. Since that day, he relentlessly stalked the top player, challenging him during boss raids and resource grinds. Jinhyuk remembers the exhausting dedication of the obsessed swordsman. Yuziong snarls. The game is reality now, and he plans to erase his losing record permanently. Jinhyuk rubs his temples. He knew the museum thief had to be this lunatic. Yuziong points the ancient blade, demanding a final deathmatch. He vows to prove his superiority now that they are both starting from ground zero. Jinhyuk gives him a bored look. He accepts the challenge, but warns the swordsman about his fragile ego. Teresa leaps between them, refusing to let her new ally fight alone. Yuziong clicks his tongue, annoyed by the paladin's interference. He activates battlefield selection, a domain expansion that forces a one-on-one duel. Blue lightning crashes down, isolating the two fighters from the rest of the room. Jinhyuk stands inside the energy ring, trapped. He reaches into his pocket, gripping a dark marble. Teresa bangs her fists against the shield, screaming his name as the magic walls them off. He smiles at her, holding up the marble. He promises to end this quickly. Dust swirls inside the isolated arena. Yuziong takes his stance, his blade radiating intense blue aura. He triggers his one-on-one skill. The system announces a 10% debuff to Jinhyuk's stats. Yuziong stacked his abilities to forcefully nerf his opponent before the first swing. Jinhyuk smiles. The rigged setup doesn't bother him. A new system alert triggers. An overwhelmingly disadvantageous situation detected. The game's hidden mechanics override standard rules when the odds are severely broken. The condition for skill theft alters. He can now copy Yuziong's unique ability before winning the fight. He selects Sword Song from the enemy's list. The passive skill floods his mind, maximizing his understanding of sword combat. The stolen knowledge saves into the memory of the world. Yuziong lunges forward, outraged by his opponent's relaxed posture. Jinhyuk grips his dagger. Purple energy hums across the short blade. The weapons clash. Sparks ignite the air between them. Yuziong screams, demanding to know why a grandmaster is fighting him with a petty knife. Jinhyuk smirks, admitting that using a blade is surprisingly fun. Yuziong channels his soul-chasing sword aura. The iron blade ignites with lethal blue fire. He unleashes a massive crescent wave that tears through the floor tiles. Jinhyuk skates backward, avoiding the devastating cleave by inches. Yuziong yells, calling out the fake beginner act. Jinhyuk realizes his dagger will chip if he keeps blocking heavy aura strikes. He holds up the dark marble between his fingers. He prepares to fuse his stolen sword song with the demon spirit item. Blinding light erupts from his hands as the components merge. The overrank fusion succeeds. Yuziong shields his eyes from the violent flash. Jinhyuk stands holding a newly forged weapon. He acquires the SS rank Grave of Swords. A massive purple broadsword materializes in his grip. He activates Night of the Black Moon. Searing pain rips up his arm. His magic level is too low to sustain the weapon's full output. He needs to end this fast. Yuziong dashes forward, his blade trailing dark shadows. He stares at the massive purple broadsword in disbelief. The power output defies the rules of a beginner zone. His meticulously optimized battlefield battlefield advantage evaporates in a single second. A flashback sequence displays the death screen from his old virtual reality duels. He spent years mapping out strategies, breaking keyboards, and dedicating his entire life to finding a counter. He screams, refusing to accept another loss to the same man. He swings wildly, his blue aura colliding with the dark magic. Jin-hyuk steps into the strike zone. He swings his broadsword upward, catching the iron blade on the edge. Yuzeong's aura shatters on impact. Jin-hyuk closes the distance. He reminds the swordsman that he has faced far faster opponents. He raises the heavy blade over his shoulder. The weapons collide one last time. Yuzeong's guard breaks. The shockwave rattles his bones. The iron sword cracks under the immense pressure. The legendary blade snaps in half. Yuzeong is thrown backward. Jin-hyuk stands over his defeated rival. The broadsword dissolves back into a dagger. Yuzeong hits the ground. It is his 138th consecutive loss. He asks for a quick death. Jin-hyuk smiles. He tells him to prepare for loss number 139. He reminds the broken swordsman that the tower requires strong players to survive the coming floors. He extends a hand, offering a truce instead of an execution. Yuzeong stares at the hand. A skill theft condition limits Jin-hyuk to 1 copy per player every 60 days. Jin-hyuk figures keeping a walking arsenal alive is much more profitable than killing him. He hauls Yuzeong to his feet. The communion skill triggers again. Yuzeong accepts the defeat, but vows the next fight will end differently. He dismisses his barrier. The blue walls shatter. Teresa rushes forward. Yuzeong turns his back, refusing to address his rival by his real name. He sticks to the old username. Jin-hyuk's face drains of color. He begs him not to say it out loud. Yuzeong drops the name, Poopy Fart. Teresa beams, completely missing the embarrassment. Jin-hyuk wishes he had just killed him. The captain and his squad finally push through the hall. The scout checks his magic radar, utterly confused. The massive horde of guardians should have wiped out the stragglers. The screen pings wildly. A massive signature approaches their flank. An iron golem breaks through the wall. The squad scrambles in panic. The mechanical giant looms over them. The captain spots a figure standing on the beast's shoulder. A pale man with long silver hair descends toward the floor. He introduces himself with a sweeping, theatrical bow. Velis, a high-ranking vampire and bloodkin to the ruins master, Jinzo. The captain draws his sword, demanding to know the monster's objective. Velis ignores the weapon. He offers a simple proposal. He flicks a throwing knife through his fingers. Come quietly and become hostages, or trigger the bloodfest. Crimson liquid erupts from the floor, wrapping around the squires. The captain stammers as the blood magic binds his entire squad. Velis laughs, relishing their terror. The squad is completely neutralized. He gestures to the struggling humans, eager to serve them as appetizers to his master. Deep in the inner chamber, Teresa purifies the dark energy with her glowing hands. The frozen tear solidifies in her palms. A high-tier magic crystal. Absorbing the unpurified gem is lethal, but her holy magic cleanses the curse. The system identifies the powerful stone. Jin-hyuk absorbs the stone. His magic stat increases by 12 points instantly. He thanks her for the assist. She smiles, happy to play support. A new system window interrupts them. An invitation from the master of the ruins. The boss offers a free path to the innermost room to negotiate for the captured assault team. Teresa immediately stands up. Saving lives overrides any tactical hesitation. She grips her gauntlet, ready to face the vampire lord. Jin-hyuk knows the boss, Alice von Ataraxia, will slaughter her if she walks in without backup. He asks her if she thinks her noble intentions will change the brutal reality of the power gap. A flashback to her paladin vows. She only wanted to protect the weak. She drops her gaze, questioning if her heroic choices are actually getting people killed. Yuzeong announces he is leaving. He has zero interest in a rescue mission. He gives Teresa one piece of advice before walking into the dark. He calls Jin-hyuk a selfish, honorless bastard, but he acknowledges one undeniable fact. The only person in this entire tower who can defeat Jinzo right now is the quiet kid standing next to her. Yuzeong vanishes. Teresa smiles at the bitter compliment. She officially commissions Jin-hyuk for a party contract. He warns her his mercenary fee is steep. She promises to pay whatever it takes to save the hostages. He bumps his fist against her gauntlet. Contract accepted. The system clears the path. All traps and monsters fall asleep. They arrive at the towering iron doors of the throne room. Teresa trembles. The raw magic leaking through the metal is suffocating. Jin-hyuk stands beside her, unfazed by the pressure. He reminds her that raw power doesn't guarantee a victory. He taps his head. He already has a plan. The massive doors grind open. Teresa steps into the light. She trusts his strategy completely. They walk down the long red carpet. The room is lined with captured players. Velis smiles, welcoming the final guests to the banquet. Alice von Ataraxia reclines on her throne. She looks incredibly bored. The wait ruined her mood. Jin-hyuk asks if the hostages are safe before beginning negotiations. Alice points a finger. A blood barrier dissolves, revealing the restrained assault team. Jin-hyuk's eyes glow with yellow light as he assesses the captives. He spots Hajin bound in the corner. He realizes the arrogant rookie was the idiot who tripped the alarm. Alice leans forward. She reveals she invited them purely because of a scent. cat. She crosses her legs, her crimson eyes locked entirely on Jinhyuk. She runs a finger over her fangs. She is completely intoxicated by the smell of his blood. Jinhyuk bristles. In all his past playthroughs, the boss never reacted to him like this. She smiles, sensing his sudden unease. She promises to keep him alive for 60 years as her personal, slow-drip meal. He rejects the offer. He refuses to spend his life as a vampire's juice box. He draws a line in the carpet with his dagger. He glares up at the throne, shifting his stance. Alice's eyes narrow. The casual rejection offends her. Blood magic surges from the floor, cracking the stone. Teresa checks on him, worried by the sudden spike in hostility. He tells the vampire he brought a counteroffer. He kneels on the carpet, playing the respectful diplomat. Alice is intrigued. She wants to know what could possibly be sweeter than his blood. She warns him that no treasure in the world will change her mind. He smiles, knowing exactly what button to push. He offers her the one thing she hasn't had in 1,000 years: freedom. Velis loses his temper. The mere suggestion of escape triggers his rage. He orders his squires to execute the insolent human. Alice stands up. Her voice drops an octave. She demands Jinhyuk take absolute responsibility for that word. Her fangs bare. A false promise will result in immediate death. Jinhyuk pulls a glowing stone from his pocket. He introduces himself as the representative of the demonic humans. He crushes the stone against his face, weaving an illusion. In the old game, demonic humans acted as ruthless gatekeepers against regular players. Alice recognizes the chaotic aura. She demands proof of his allegiance. He claims he bypassed the ruins barrier using intel from the 27th floor temple. He points to the magical seals surrounding the room, reciting their exact structural flaws. Velis sweats. The human knows secrets only the highest-ranking cultists possess. Alice descends the stairs, willing to hear him out, but she still refuses to trust him. The blood pools around her bare feet. She warns him that a smooth talker is just a liar with good vocabulary. She summons a dozen crimson spears above her head, aiming them directly at his chest. She admits it is truly unfortunate she has to kill him. She drops her hand. The spears rain down. Jinhyuk stands his ground. Teresa leaps in front of him with her shield raised. She activates sacred reinforcement at maximum output. A colossal golden cross erupts from the floor, intercepting the blood weapons. She yells for him to stay back while she holds the line. She pours every ounce of her mana into the shield. Dozens of spears strike the holy barrier, ricocheting into the walls. Alice laughs hysterically at the desperate defense. Her amusement twists into pure disgust. Divine magic makes her physically sick. She triggers blood explosion. A massive crimson tornado engulfs the room. Teresa grits her teeth, wondering how long her shield can hold against a boss. A blood blade bypasses the defense. It pieces straight through her armor, burying itself in her chest. She coughs up blood, collapsing into Jinhyuk's arms. He lays her gently on the stone. Alice claps her hands, amused by the dramatic betrayal. The paladin protected a cultist. Teresa grabs his pant leg, her vision fading. She reminds him of their contract to save the squad. She begs him to stick to the plan. Jinhyuk's face is obscured by the dark illusion. He asks if she really thought this was his strategy. He raises his dagger high into the air. He slams the blade down, shattering the paladin's dropped shield into pieces. Alice roars with laughter. The ruthless destruction proves he is a true demonic human. She welcomes him to her side and grants him permission to speak his plan. He holds up a small gold band. He explains he prepared a 7-star spell. He tells her he can temporarily seal her soul inside the ring to bypass the prison barrier. She looks surprised. That kind of magic is legendary. A flashback sequence shows him grinding the lower floors, meticulously maintaining his level 1 status. He rejected all experience points just to meet the extreme conditions of this exact spell. Soul transfer, a spell that requires the target's absolute consent. He slams his hand onto the floor, activating the magic circle. The blue runes illuminate the throne room. A 1-year cooldown timer engages. He offers her the choice: step into the ring or rot in the ruins forever. Alice stares at the glowing circle. Velis yells, demanding she reject the suspicious magic. She commands him to execute the human if the spell fails. She is desperate enough to risk it. She has been trapped underground for over 1,000 years. She refuses to miss her only exit. She steps her bare foot into the blue light. She commands him to initiate the transfer. He bows, promising she won't regret her decision. He touches her hand. The communion skill forces a final spike of trust between them. She smiles, granting her absolute consent. Braham's ring activates, absorbing the progenitor's soul. Her physical body dissolves into blue smoke, spiraling into the gold band. Her voice echoes from the ring. She finds the small space surprisingly cozy. He drops the demonic illusion. He asks her how she likes her new permanent prison. A system alert triggers behind him. Blessing of the Stars activates. Jinhyuk turns back to the center center of the room. The illusion shatters completely. He welcomes the paladin back to the land of the living. The revival skill triggers. Teresa gasps for air, the fatal wound sealing itself with golden light. She clutches her chest, alive but exhausted. She glares up at him, wiping the blood from her mouth. He tosses the illusion stone away. The trick is over. Alice screams from inside the ring, realizing she was played. She orders Velis to kill him. Velis lunges forward, his claws extended for an execution. He summons a wave of boiling blood to incinerate the traitor. The vampire shrieks, unleashing his level 13 ultimate attack. A massive wall of crimson energy crashes toward them. Jinhyuk ignites his fist with fire element. He punches straight through the blood wave, the intense heat vaporizing the liquid magic. He tells Teresa to secure the hostages while he handles the trash. She casts sign of the cross to sever the bindings holding the captain and his men. The captain scrambles to his feet, shocked that she came back for them. She points to the center of the room. Jinhyuk is fighting the entire vampire guard alone. Velis clashes blades with him, demanding to know how a human blocks his spells. Jinhyuk explains that his fire completely counters the blood magic. He parries the strike. He tells the vampire he lost the moment his master entered the ring. He activates Grave of Swords. The heavy purple broadsword materializes in his grip. Velis screams, diving in for a desperate kill to free his queen. The captain watches from the sidelines, entirely useless in this tier of combat. He stares at the kid wielding the massive blade. Jinhyuk carves through the remaining guards, sending them crashing into the pillars. Teresa watches him fight. She realizes the mask was just a tool to save the hostages without blowing his cover. Jinhyuk finishes the last guard. He walks back, rubbing his sore shoulder. He complains that dying to a teammate's plan really hurts. She smiles, tears welling in her eyes. The insane strategy actually worked. She thanks him for keeping his promise and saving everyone. The system confirms the theft condition is fulfilled. Jinhya copies Blessing of the Stars. He awkwardly pats her shoulder, asking why she is crying when they won. She yells at him, pointing out that trusting an untested revival plan is terrifying. He laughs. They stand victorious in the ruined hall, the impossible boss raid officially cleared. The assault team captain reaches past the red curtain, his greedy hands hovering over the divine artifacts. Song Chanhwa introduces himself as the leader of the strike force. He demands that every item in this room be surrendered to his Balhi guild. Jinhyuk stands perfectly still. Dark, ominous magic bleeds from his shoulders. The captain sweats under the sudden pressure. He offers a massive cash payout to smooth over the blatant robbery. He assumes money can buy the silence of a man who just soloed a vampire lord. He is beyond saving. Jinhyuk points a finger at the loot and agrees without a fight. He turns his back, warning the captain not to regret his decision. Chanhwa smirks, reaching eagerly for the fragment of Merlin's staff. His fingers wrap around the ancient wood. Red lightning instantly arcs up his arm. He screams, grasping his burning hand as the artifact rejects him. Jinhyuk explains the catch. The staff carries a lethal curse, can only be safely claimed by the player who defeated Alice. And Alice is currently taking a nap inside Jinhyuk's pocket. Teresa covers her mouth, horrified by the brutal setup. Jinhyuk grabs her shoulder and steers her out of the room. He leaves the greedy captain to deal with his new curse. Outside the Tower of Trials, the Awakened Association awaits the survivors under the moonlight. Deputy Jung and her team stare at the glowing gate. They expect a massacre. Department head Kim Tae-kun flicks his lighter, preparing for the worst news possible. Experts predicted the raid would take 3 weeks. Tonight is day 1. He suspects the Balhi Guild rushed the boss room to secure the glory. He lights his cigarette, trying to steady his nerves. A system alert shatters the silence. The Hall of the Depraved has been officially cleared. The blue portal flares. The surviving assault members stumble out into a sea of flashing cameras. The Balhi Guild members look downcast. This is not the victory march they planned. Reporters swarm the barricades, shoving dozens of microphones forward. Everyone wants to know who defeated the impossible boss. They wait for the MVP to step into the spotlight. Captain Chanhwa steps forward. His hair, eyebrows, and eyelashes have been burned clean off by the curse. The reporters snap photos of his shiny bald head, assuming it was a desperate battle sacrifice. Tae-kun and Jung stare through the crowd, trying to make sense of the bizarre scene. Teresa steps forward, her armor shining under the flashbulbs. The crowd goes wild for the Saintess. She takes the stage, but she admits the Zion Guild did not secure the victory. She points to the man beside her. She credits a single, unnamed porter for the entire clear. The camera captures the back of Jinhyuk's head. He stands off to the side, maintaining his cover. Tae-kun tells his deputy to contact the association immediately. They need to find this ghost before the major guilds do. Morning breaks over a quiet Seoul apartment complex. Jinhyuk pours hot water into a cup of instant ramen while browsing the news. The internet is losing its mind over the masked player. He eats his noodles, amused by the media circus. He trusts Teresa to keep his real identity out of the press. He pulls Graham's ring from his pocket. Time to deal with his new roommate. Alice screams from inside the gold band. She demands respect from the human who imprisoned her. Jinhyuk flashes a wicked grin. He grabs the chain and swings it in a massive high-speed circle. Alice gets tossed around like clothes in a washing machine. machine. She begs him to stop. She dry heaves, threatening a 1,000-year vampire grudge once she gets out. Jin-hyuk's eyes narrow. He does not take threats from jewelry. He raises his arm, preparing to spin the ring even faster. She shrieks, dropping the attitude instantly. He places the ring on his desk. He injects a steady stream of raw mana into the gold. A crimson magic circle erupts on the floor. Alice rises from the light, vowing to return her humiliation 1,000-fold. She stops mid-threat. She looks down at her hands. Jin-hyuk explains the catch. He only materialized a fraction of her soul. She is currently a mini-version of her true self. She slumps against the wall, devastated by her tiny, powerless stature. He tells her to stop throwing a tantrum and listen. He promised her freedom, and he intends to deliver. Alice looks up, confused by the sudden change in tone. He offers a new deal. He will eliminate the traitors who ruined her family, and in exchange, she will help him climb the tower. A new video hits the Hall of Fame. It shows Jin-hyuk wielding his dagger, with the phantom image of Alice looming behind him. The chat overlay explodes. Viewers dissect his flawless combat combos and overwhelming magic output. A user recognizes the combat style from the mangrove boss fight. The connection is made. Jin-hyuk reads the forums on his phone. Every major guild is sitting on a pile of cash, desperate to recruit him. He stands outside a towering glass skyscraper in the business district. He crushes a glowing purple crystal in his palm. The Black Crow Guild took a hit out on him, and he plans to collect the debt. He kicks the front doors open. He refuses to let an assassination attempt slide. A dozen men in black suits swarm the lobby, blocking his path. He summons a ball of concentrated flame in his hand. He promises to burn the entire organization to the ground. On the top floor, Guild leader Shin Jiansu sits behind a massive desk. An executive bows at a 90-degree angle, sweating profusely. Jiansu screams at him. The hitman failed to kill the target in the ruins and triggered the Guardian alarm instead. The Guild leader slams his fist on the wood. His reputation is sinking because of one botched job. He kicks the man in the chest, sending him flying backward. The heavy office doors blow off their hinges. Fire floods the hallway. Jin-hyuk walks through the smoke, dark magic swirling around his eyes. Jiansu barks an order for his men to attack. The disgraced executive scrambles to his feet, eager to redeem himself. He charges. Jin-hyuk simply raises 2 fingers. A shockwave blasts the man backward, throwing him into the bookshelves. Jiansu points a shaking finger. He recognizes the kid from the Awakened Association riot. Jin-hyuk makes himself comfortable on the office sofa. He puts his feet up on the coffee table. Jiansu activates his quick sword skill. He grabs a katana from the display stand. He leaps over the desk, bringing the blade down with lethal speed. He boasts that his strikes are faster than sound. The katana slashes toward Jin-hyuk's throat. Jin-hyuk catches the steel edge with a single go playing piece. He kicks the table, shattering it into splinters. The shockwave throws the remaining guards to the floor. He charges his hand with raw lightning. He flicks the go piece. It accelerates like a bullet. The stone punches right through Jiansu's shoulder, sending him crashing into his own desk. Jin-hyuk readies another piece, aiming right for the man's head. Jiansu holds his hands up, begging for mercy. He tells the boy he is crossing a dangerous line. The guild leader tries to play politics. He claims 50 top rankers will hunt Jin-hyuk down if he dies here. Jin-hyuk stares back with dead eyes. The threat means nothing. Jiansu screams that revenge only breeds more revenge. A cycle of endless blood. A grim vision of armored knights slaughtering each other flashes across the screen. Jin-hyuk dips his hand into the bowl of go pieces. He grabs a handful, ready to finish the job. His fist ignites with fire element. He promises to handle the revenge while they handle the forgiving. Jiansu throws his hands up to block the incoming blast. He screams for the boy to wait. A massive beam of fire and lightning erupts from Jin-hyuk's hand. The blast tears through the top floor, shattering the reinforced windows. Glass rains down on the street below. Jin-hyuk stands in the ruined office. Smoke clears around his boots. A man cowers beneath a pile of filing cabinets. Park Hajin, the rookie who tried to break Jin-hyuk's finger earlier. Jin-hyuk notes that he only kept the idiot alive because his sister is a useful hostage. He commands Hajin to stay out of his sight until natural death takes him. Hua-woong watches from the floor, sweating bullets. Jin-hyuk spots the accountant playing dead. He orders him to get up. He offers the trembling man a deal. Prove useful and he lives. Kim Hua-woong stands at attention. He blurts out his resume. 26 years old, Stanford graduate, overall task manager for the Raven Guild. Jin-hyuk smiles. That concise panic is exactly what he needs. He notes the severe lack of leadership in the room following his little demonstration. He points at Hua-woong, declaring him the new master of the Black Crow Guild. Hua-woong protests. No combat player will follow a non-combatant accountant. A vision shows Hua-woong sitting on a throne, surrounded by murderous glares. He assumes Jin-hyuk plans to stay and act as his personal enforcer. Jin-hyuk laughs. He has no intention of babysitting a mid-tier guild. He plans to lend him a different kind of muscle. His phone buzzes. An emergency text from the Awakened Association overrides his screen. Tycoon grinds his teeth at the chaotic scene downtown. High-ranking players complain about being pulled out of active raids. Massive brutes and armored knights crowd the street. The A-rank elite of the city. The area outside the association building is completely gridlocked. Tycoon pushes his way through the furious crowd. A silver car lies crushed in the plaza. Jiansu's unconscious body is sprawled across the hood. The former guild master groans, his face bruised and beaten. The top floor office is a war zone. Desks are flipped. Guards are unconscious. Tycoon demands to know who authorized the emergency order if the leader is dead. He stares at the shattered window, his eyes widening. Kim Hyeowung sits behind the ruined desk, wearing sunglasses and trying to look authoritative. Tycoon recognizes the accountant. He grabs him by the collar, demanding an explanation. Hyeowung drops the tough guy act instantly. He stammers through the explanation, eager to shift the blame. He points toward the window. A small girl with silver hair stands looking over the city. He claims a new leader has arrived. Alice turns around. She wears a black dress, projecting an aura of absolute royalty. Tycoon scoffs. He refuses to believe a child caused this destruction. Alice freezes. Her eyes twitch. Her gaze turns murderous. Being called a kid is her absolute trigger. Tycoon watches the small girl raise her hand. A massive explosion rips out the side of the skyscraper. Down on the street, Jin-hyuk watches the fireball erupt from the top floor. He rubs his forehead. He asked Alice to handle the guild transfer quietly. She failed step 1. He checks his phone. A message confirms his awakened test results are ready. 2 months have passed since the tower appeared. The world has adapted. Billboards advertise mining teams and raid gear. Humanity turned the apocalypse into a business. A massive screen plays a news special on the masked player. Jin-hyuk knows only 2 people can identify him. The porter captain who kept his mouth shut, and Teresa, who swore an oath of silence. He pulls his black wooden mask over his face. He plans to exploit this dual identity for maximum profit. He walks toward the towering Awakened Association building. The plaza is packed with aspiring players. He heads straight for the registration desk. He checks his new mobile ID. Kong Jin-hyuk, rank F. He manipulated his own test scores to stay off the government radar. His phone buzzes. Taemin and Yanawa found him. The 2 veteran streamers greet him in the plaza. Taemin boasts about leveling up. Yanawa points to the strange pair standing behind him. They attracted a crowd. Jin-hyuk smiles. He introduces his new party members. Alice steps forward, adopting the persona of a noble player from Northern Europe. Hyeowung steps up next, introducing himself as the manager of the Black Crow Guild. The accountant cries behind his sunglasses, deeply moved by the sudden respect. He prefers this to Jiansu's beatings. Jin-hyuk tells Taemin he is the true power behind the guild. The veterans are impressed. Yanawa smiles, welcoming the new additions to the team. Jin-hyuk turns his back. He tells them to train hard. He has a solo mission to complete. He walks away with Alice trailing behind. She complains about her fake European backstory. He snaps at her. He reminds her she blew up a building just because someone called her a kid. Alice looks away, embarrassed. She spent 1,000 years underground. Insults hit differently now. Jin-hyuk sighs. He tells his pocket vampire to follow him. They have hunting to do. She crosses her arms. She demands to know why he cannot hunt by himself. He needs a supporter to handle the sheer volume of a horde fight. They walk toward the towering pillar of the first floor. Alice doubts any unmapped hunting grounds are left. A massive golden lock wrapped in chains flashes in his mind. The top guilds regulate the premium dungeons. Everyone assumes the map is fully explored. Jin-hyuk smiles. Everyone except the man who cleared the game. They arrive at Moon Lake, a serene landscape of white sand and ancient pillars under a starry sky. The place is deserted. Nobody wastes time on scenery during an apocalypse. Alice asks how he plans to hunt in an empty lake. He steps right onto the water. The surface ripples but holds his weight like solid ground. 12 statues line the tranquil water. He walks past the stone beasts, searching for one specific marker. He stops in front of a massive stone carp. Alice examines the fish. She asks if it hides a secret switch. A visible rectangular groove sits on the statue's forehead. He pulls up the forum logs. Hundreds of players found the groove, but no one figured out the key. Jin-hyuk holds his hand up to the sky. The key is not metal. It is moonlight. He angles his palm, directing a beam of light directly into the groove. He inserts the glowing sequence stone. The crystal locks into place. A massive rift tears across the lake's surface. The water parts, revealing a hidden staircase descending into the dark. They walk down into the lower ground first floor. Alice stares at the massive cavern walls. She revels in the open space after a millennium in a coffin. He asks her how it feels to stretch her legs. She refuses to give him the satisfaction of a thank you. She acts tough. He laughs. Her tiny bat wings flutter. His boots hit the stone floor of the abyss. He activates Blessing of the Stars. Blue divine energy surges around him, purifying the frozen tear crystal. His mana jumps by 18 points. He plans to feed Alice the surplus energy to keep her manifested. Alice glares at him. She hates being treated like a digital pet. He asks her a serious question. The beings inside the tower, do they know they are part of a game? The screen glitches violently with static. The system blocks the inquiry. He rubs his chin. The tower censors any meta-knowledge from the NPCs. A low rumble echoes from the dark tunnel ahead. Alice senses the approaching threat. A massive armored leg pierces the stone floor. The razor-sharp claw digs into the the rock. Jin-hyuk's hand ignites with fire element. He smiles. The spawning ground is active. He steps forward, the flames swirling around his boots. A colossal insect breaches the surface. It looks like a heavily armored beetle. He unleashes a stream of fire. The beast incinerates instantly. He didn't come here to kill one bug. He came here because the abyss spawns them endlessly. The swarm pours out of the walls. Alice gags at the sheer volume of screeching insects. He tells her to get behind him. He holds out his hand, triggering blessing of the stars. A swirling vortex of divine light engulfs the cavern. A massive pillar of energy crashes down from the ceiling. The light purges the dark space, reducing the monster's physical defenses by 30%. He taunts Alice to use her vampire skills. She refuses to touch the disgusting bugs. He spins Braham's ring on his finger, threatening to put her back in the box. She panics and triggers Bloodbind. Crimson liquid erupts from the floor, trapping the swarm in floating spheres of blood. Jin-hyuk draws his purple dagger. The setup is perfect. He activates his gap stat. The massive level difference triggers a cascade of experience points. He slashes through the suspended bugs, burning off the stress of staying at level 1 for so long. He stands in the center of the cavern, surrounded by the next wave. He activates Sword Cemetery. Shadow blades erupt from the floor. He tells the swarm to keep coming. A sprawling grand castle sits under a clear sky. Inside the Olympus Guild meeting room, the atmosphere is incredibly tense. The leader rests his chin on his hands, surveying the grim faces of his peers. Patrick, the Titan Guild rep, reports the disastrous failure of the 8th raid attempt on the 4th floor. Out of 100 elite players, only 9 survived. The 3rd floor boss is a massive warlord protected by an army of 10,000 stone statues. It is a war of attrition they cannot win. A guild captain slams his fist on the table in pure frustration. Tenwei, the Chinese guild rep, argues they pushed the lower floors too fast. They lack the stats for a full-scale war. Maria of Olympus and Teresa stand silently. The death toll is preventing players from growing stronger. Baek Jinho, captain of Dangan's assault team, agrees. They need an army of level 15 players to break the line. He glares across the table. He blames the Chinese guild for monopolizing the magic crystals, stunting global growth. Tenwei stands up, furious at the accusation. His people are dying for humanity just like everyone else. The two leaders shout across the table, ready to turn the meeting into a brawl. Patrick orders them to stand down. Infighting will not clear the tower. The executives take their seats, the tension thick enough to cut. Jinho asks Maria if Olympus has a strategy. She remains silent. Patrick speaks up. He received a call from the demonic humans faction. Maria and Tenwei stare in shock. A proposed alliance with the cultists is high treason. Jinho points at the chandelier. He vows never to ally with the trash of this world. Teresa listens quietly. She knows the major guilds hold more power than any government now. If they legitimize the demons to clear a floor, the political fallout will be catastrophic. A sudden gust of dark wind blows through the room, extinguishing the candles. Jinho summons a wave of fire to relight the space. The flames illuminate a massive portal of dark magic ripping through the floor. A hooded figure steps out, holding a staff crowned with a human skull. The demon representative stands in the center of the room. Jinho roars, furious that a cultist breached their secure facility. He slams his fist onto the table. Tenwei draws his sword, ready to strike the intruder down. He agrees with Jinho. The demon dies today. The hooded man remains completely still. He tells them their bloodlust will cool once they hear his proposal. He smiles beneath his hood. He offers the exact power they need to defeat the 3rd floor boss. Jinho calls his bluff. The demons don't even have 100 troops to spare. The man activates Black Graveyard. Dark magic spirals from his staff. Patrick stares out the window, his face draining of color. A massive skeletal hand bursts through the pavement outside. The demon explains the ruins are built on ancient battlefields, a perfect resource for his craft. Patrick realizes the horrific implication. An army of undead soldiers rises in the courtyard. The necromancer brought his own troops. Patrick recognizes the skull weapon. The demon confirms its identity. The Staff of Greed. Tenwei swallows hard. The legendary item changes the entire negotiation. With that staff and an army of undead, breaking the stone statue formation is entirely possible. Maria yells at him. She refuses to ally with murderers. Jinho agrees. They should execute the necromancer right now. But Patrick hesitates. If the public never finds out, the alliance might save humanity. Teresa draws her sword, disgusted by Patrick's compromise. She grips her shield. The desperation has driven the top players completely mad. She wishes Jin-hyuk was here. He would never fall for this political trap. Her tablet chimes. A video call request from an unknown number. She accepts. Jin-hyuk's face appears on the screen. He smirks, noting the chaotic background behind her. Teresa holds her sword ready, caught between the guild leaders and the necromancer. The demon demands the caller reveal his identity. Teresa expands the hologram projection so everyone can see. Maria and Jinho stare at the massive screen. Jin-hyuk's face is obscured by digital static and shadow. The iconic look of the masked player. The super rookie who cleared the Hall of the Depraved alone. The ghost every major guild has been hunting just dropped into their secure meeting. Maria smiles, overwhelmed overwhelmed by the sudden stroke of luck. The demon smirks. He acknowledges the rookie's impressive solo run. He challenges Jinhyuk, asking if he thinks a real boss raid is anything like a beginner ruin. He points to the window. His army of skeletons stands ready to breach the third floor. Jinhyuk scoffs. He is completely unimpressed by the cheap parlor trick. He calls out the Staff of Greed. He declares it a useless knockoff. A vision of the true crafting materials appears. The heart of an adult and burial clothes soaked in holy oil. Patrick demands proof of the forgery. Jinhyuk points to the skull. The authentic staff possesses a red jewel beneath the bone. This one does not. He tells them to look closer at the undead army outside. The bones are brittle, crumbling under their own weight. He warns the guild leaders that the demons plan to use the fragile skeletons as a distraction to steal the boss loot and vanish. The necromancer grits his teeth. His scam has been entirely dismantled. He surrounds himself in purple fire. He vows Jinhyuk will regret this interference. He blasts out the window, escaping before the guild leaders can strike. Patrick stares at the shattered glass, realizing he almost sold their souls for a scam. Jinho asks the screen what their next move is. Jinhyuk smiles. He offers them a far better deal. He promises to clear the third floor boss entirely alone. Patrick and Maria are stunned. A solo run against an army of 10,000 is suicide, but they have nothing to lose by letting him try. Maria offers an open checkbook. Olympus Guild will provide any gear or money he requires. Jinho interrupts, claiming Titan Guild can outbid them. Jinhyuk holds up a hand. He doesn't want their money. He just wants them to block the entrance so no one interferes. Maria narrows her eyes. Fighting for free is highly suspicious. She demands his motive. He scratches his chin, playing the humble hero. He claims he is just trying to help out his precious friend, Teresa. Behind the screen, he gags. The line was incredibly cringe, but it works perfectly. Teresa blushes furiously, touched by the fake sentiment. Jinho roars in approval. He praises the rookie's honorable camaraderie. Jinhyuk nods, accepting the praise. A small floating camera drone records the entire conversation. Maria smiles, thinking the rookie is a naive fool for rejecting a massive payout. Jinhyuk knows exactly what he is doing. By recording the major guilds agreeing to his terms, he secures a political monopoly over the boss loot. He ends the call with a simple swipe. The trap is set. Deep in the spawning grounds, Jinhyuk checks his stats. Level 12 in less than a day. He turns around. Alice screams his name. She flies toward him, completely exhausted from fighting the endless swarm of bugs. She cries, demanding to know why her partner made her fight alone. He reminds her she is a slave, not a partner. He opens the system shop. He plans to buy her a mana supplement. She lands, explaining that store-bought potions don't restore vampire magic. She bares her fangs. She needs to feed. Jinhyuk backs away, holding his hand out to stop the tiny predator. She lunges at his neck. A loud slurping sound echoes through the dark cave. Alice wipes her mouth, fully satisfied by the meal. Jinhyuk rubs his neck. He feels dizzy. The mana drain is significant. He turns back to the shop terminal. Time to spend his coins. He buys a list of incredibly random low-tier items. Glue, spiderwebs, ogre snot, and an enlargement pill. Alice floats beside him, asking why he wasted coins on garbage. He stares down a massive dark tunnel. They are about to get extremely busy. He tells her to hold on tight. They need to clear the basement before the day ends. He leaps straight down a sheer vertical drop. Alice screams as they freefall into the abyss. He smiles. He knows exactly how deep the drop is. He made this jump 100 times in the game. He lands perfectly. Alice crashes into his back. He activates reverse gravity to soften the final impact. Alice pants, calling him a reckless maniac. He ignites his hand with fire element to light the massive cavern. A stone pedestal sits in the center of the room. Strange mechanical tubes with sharp teeth line the walls. Giant insects crawl over the stone. He walks forward. A colossal statue of Anubis looms over the fiery pedestal. The stone god asks if the human knows who he is. Jinhyuk smiles. He addresses the hound of the desert directly. Alice warns him the aura is dangerous. She offers to hold the god back while he escapes. He smirks. He didn't expect the vampire to actually care about his survival. He tells her to sit back and watch. He stares up at the towering monolith. He asks the god to show him the terms of the contract. Anubis raises a massive stone hook. He activates the judgment of Anubis. The hook glows with purple energy. The system flashes the rules. Jinhyuk must answer 3 questions to break the god's patience. The answers do not need to be true. They just need to infuriate the target. Anubis asks the first question. Did the vampire lead him here? Jinhyuk smirks and says yes. The scales of judgment tip. The first condition is met. Anubis asks the second question. Did he come to raid the hive? Jinhyuk casually admits he plans to sell the loot on the black market. He flashes a thumbs down, telling the god to give up. The final condition is met. The judgment triggers. A massive purple aura descends on Jinhyuk. His stats are cut in half and his skills are locked for 1 minute. Anubis summons his champion. A giant, razor-sharp mantis drops drops from the ceiling. Jinhyuk introduces Alice to the terrifying bug. The champion brandishes its scythes. It is designed to execute depowered intruders. Jinhyuk raises his hand. He acknowledges the threat, but he pulls a mini gramophone from his inventory. The item plays a song that cannot be interrupted. Anubis assumes the human has gone mad from fear. Jinhyuk strikes a pose as the classical music begins to play. He draws his dagger like a conductor's baton. The orchestral beat floods the cavern. The song's tempo perfectly matches the exact attack pattern of the giant mantis. Jinhyuk dodges every lethal swipe precisely on the beat, rendering the champion entirely useless. Anubis stares in horror. The human memorized the attack sequence and brought a metronome. Jinhyuk dances through the strikes. The 1-minute penalty expires. He immediately activates Sword Cemetery. Shadow blades erupt around him. The shadow scythe slices through the mantis. But Anubis boasts that his champion cannot die. It will simply outlast the human stamina. Jinhyuk agrees. A straightforward kill won't work. He grips his dagger, a dark smile spreading across his face. The mantis swings its massive claws. Jinhyuk drives the blade directly into the monster's eye. Alice watches in shock. He is not just fighting the champion, he is completely toying with it. Anubis screams at the bug to fight back. The mantis writhes on the floor in agony. Jinhyuk steps toward the fallen champion. He reaches out, preparing the final psychological blow. He sits down directly on the mantis's head, completely disrespecting the divine warrior. Anubis stares in stunned silence. The mantis stops moving, its spirit entirely broken by the sheer humiliation. The system registers the champion's defeat. The bug committed suicide to escape the shame. Jinhyuk levels up again. He steps off the evaporating corpse. He claims his loot. An ice magic spellbook drops from the champion. He learns the level 1 skill Ice Molds. He summons floating shards of sharp ice around him. Anubis growls. He asks if the human intends to fight a god with mere icicles. Jinhyuk scoffs. He tells the statue to step down from its pedestal. Anubis realizes the human knows he is just a consciousness bound to a rock. He asks why Jinhyuk came to fight him. Jinhyuk smiles. Because it is fun. The word fun breaks the god's mind. Purple fire erupts from the stone. Anubis roars, furious at being treated like a toy. He triggers the hive. The mechanical tubes on the walls burst open. Thousands of giant, armored bees swarm the cavern. The hive infinitely summons reinforcements. Jinhyuk fires his ice shards into the swarm. The bugs multiply faster than he can kill them. The ice is not enough. He ignites his other hand with raw fire. He channels both elements simultaneously, initiating a dangerous skill combination. Fire and ice clash between his palms, generating massive pressure. A blinding sphere of energy forms in his grip. The light engulfs the entire room. The system confirms the combination is successful. The explosion of daylight rips through the cavern. The pure energy vaporizes the front line of the swarm. The blast radius expands, completely blinding everything in the room. The bees screech as the blinding flash cooks their wings. The skill icon for daylight registers. A mass destruction spell that compresses mana into a tactical flashbang. Jinhyuk channels the beam, sweeping it across the ceiling. Anubis commands the hive to adapt. The god activates target selection. He manually controls the spawn sequence. A massive, heavily armored bee drops from the hive. A strengthened variant. The giant insect locks its red eyes on Jinhyuk. It fires a lethal stinger like a harpoon. Jinhyuk casts ice sculpture, raising a frozen shield to deflect the strike. The bee rams the shield repeatedly, determined to break through. It summons reinforcements. The swarm multiplies exponentially. Dozens of armored bees fill the air, their wings buzzing like chainsaws. Anubis laughs. No matter how strong the human is, he will eventually drown in the sheer numbers. Jinhyuk pulls a small red capsule from his pocket. The enlargement pill. It multiplies a target size by 10. He throws it directly at the giant bee. The bee instinctively swallows it mid-flight. The effect activates. Jinhyuk jumps into the air. He leaps right over the expanding insect. He lands perfectly on the titan bee's back. He grips the creature's antennae like the handlebars of a motorcycle. He steers the colossal insect right through its own swarm. Anubis roars, ordering the hive to execute the hijacked bug. The smaller bees swarm the titan, attacking their own kind to stop the human. Jinhyuk drives his mount straight toward the stone god. The titan bee rams its massive stinger directly into the side of the Anubis statue. Jinhyuk activates his mysterious cube, trapping the collision in a localized field. He uses the junk items he bought earlier, glue, spiderwebs, and ogre snot, to reinforce the cube's walls. He leaps off the bee's back, letting the cube contain the explosive pressure. The swarm crashes into the impenetrable blue barrier. He hits the ground rolling, fully clear of the blast zone. The contained pressure inside the cube detonates. The titan bee explodes in a massive fireball. The strategy pays off completely. Jinhyuk snaps his fingers, activating fire element one last time. He sparks the remaining mana in the air. The enlargement pill triggers a chain reaction inside the hive. The entire nest goes up in flames. The bees burn alive within the inferno. System notifications flood his vision. The kill count registers hundreds of drops. He watches the blue screens cascade. Using self-replicating monsters as a farming glitch is peak efficiency. Anubis stares at the burning ruin of his invincible army. Jin-hyuk smiles. He bought those specific items because he already knew exactly how the hive functioned. The entire encounter was rigged from the moment he walked into the room. Anubis slams his massive stone fist into the floor in pure rage. The god reaches out, desperate to crush the arrogant mortal himself. The stone arm crumbles before it can reach him. The hive was the source of the statue's power. The fist shatters into heavy boulders. Jin-hyuk brushes the dust off his coat. He complains the fight ended too quickly. The cracking stone face of Anubis glares down at him. A mortal humiliated a deity. The statue screams in absolute fury as its core collapses. The god vows that the human will never survive climbing the tower. Jin-hyuk smirks. He plans to climb it just to spite them. Anubis promises to personally judge him for this blasphemy. The massive statue cracks straight down the middle. A glowing purple skill book drops from the rubble. He claims the overranked skill, Judgment of Anubis. He can now slice any opponent's stats in half. The system warns him that improper use of the skill will invite the wrath of the Egyptian gods. A vision of Osiris and the ancient pantheon flashes. They are actively watching him now. He clicks his tongue. The dead god snitched to his friends on the higher floors. Alice lands behind him, completely dazed by the sheer scale of the destruction. She asks what happened. He simply tells her he won. He checks his updated status. He hit level 19 in a single afternoon. He reviews his massive stat boost. Farming the bug glitch was incredibly lucrative. He decides to distribute his points evenly across all categories to prepare for the upcoming floors. His phone rings. A video call request interrupts his stat management. He accepts. Cheon Yuziang's face appears on the screen. The museum thief tracked him down. Yuziang demands to know where he is. Jin-hyuk tells him to mind his own business. Yuziang has a proposal. He looks incredibly serious. In 24 hours, the Awakened Association is hosting a mandatory tournament for all A-rank players. Jin-hyuk thinks it is absurd to hold a tournament while the third floor boss is massacring players. Yuziang challenges him to attend and fight him one more time. Jin-hyuk considers it. Fighting top-tier players means more skills to copy. He holds up a golden VVIP ticket. He already has plans to visit the black market auction. The secret auction caters only to the richest players in the world. Jin-hyuk figures the top guilds will be selling off rare items to fund their next raid attempt. The system chimes. The video of him challenging the third floor boss just hit the trending page. The footage is heavily edited to remove any mention of the demons, keeping the guild's reputation safe. The chat goes wild. Viewers praise his courage for attempting a solo run. Everyone begs for a face reveal. Jin-hyuk stands in the cavern, entirely satisfied with his PR campaign. He just became the most famous man on earth. The view count crosses 50 million. He calculates his payout. He smiles. 50,000 coins straight to his inventory. He yawns. It has been a long day of breaking the game mechanics. The scene cuts to a massive arena. The crowd roars as the Awakened tournament begins. Two high-ranking players clash blades in the center ring. Sparks fly from the impact. 24 elite fighters battle it out to restore the public's confidence after the raid failures. Camera crews broadcast every strike. The whole world is watching to see who the strongest player really is. Jin-hyuk knows exactly what this tournament is. A glorified gladiator show meant to distract the masses. He already holds a golden ticket to the real event tonight. He stares at the glowing broadcast monitor. The tournament rules offer the winner two choices. The first is a museum relic. The second is the right to challenge any player. Yuseong practically screams through the screen, demanding his rival show up. Down in the arena, the official matches are underway. Top-ranking veterans clash in the center ring. The impact pushes an axe-wielding fighter backward. A massive Anubis beast materializes on the field. The shadow monster swats the competition away like flies. Fire floods the stage as players battle to secure their status. Yuri and the old fire mage from the museum stand victorious in their bracket. High above the chaos, the elite guild executives evaluate the talent pool. Guild Master Hong Diokpyo of the Black Cloud Guild watches from his VIP seat. He finds the brutal display highly entertaining. One specific fighter catches his eye with clean, precise strikes. Diokpyo wastes no time approaching the rising star with a recruitment offer. The fighter rejects the invitation without a second thought. That is when another player steps up, asking why he wasn't considered. Enter Jung Do-hyun, a AAA rank bruiser in a tan suit. He adjusts his sunglasses, boasting that the camera loves him. The crowd murmurs, recognizing his undeniable talent. Do-hyun yawns, treating the biggest tournament in Korea like a boring chore. Back down in the ring, the final matches conclude. Blades meet claws as the remaining fighters get desperate. A rapid slash tears through the defense. Even the museum veterans are pushed to their absolute limits. Nobody stands a chance against Cheon Yuseong. The broadcast officially announces the tournament champion. The audience swoons over the brooding swordmaster. A reporter steps up to ask which prize he wants to claim. Yuseong raises his legendary blade. He points it toward the stands, selecting the battle request. Do-hyun grins, assuming the challenge is meant for him. The AAA rank meathead prepares to steal the spotlight. Diokpyo shoves him right back into his seat. Because Yuseong isn't looking at the bruiser. His eyes are locked squarely on the kid standing higher up in the bleachers. Do-hyun turns his head head, confused. Jin-hyuk stands there with his hands in his pockets. The crowd gasps as the champion lowers his weapon for a nobody. The association executives scramble to run the kid's face through the database. The result comes back, an F-rank player. Jin-hyuk sighs and leaps over the railing. Diokpyo squints, wondering why a grand champion is calling out weak prey. Jin-hyuk asks his stalker to give up the obsession. He gives him a sarcastic thumbs up for the dramatic setup. Yoo-seong ignores the sarcasm. He grits his teeth, stating he trained non-stop for this exact rematch. He charges forward, his blade coated in swirling blue aura. He activates the second tier of his soul-chasing sword dance. Jin-hyuk pinches the bridge of his nose. He channels his own magic, ready to end this quickly. Yoo-seong brings the glowing blade down with everything he has. A massive shockwave of fire tears the stage apart. The swordmaster stares through the smoke. He senses movement behind him. Jin-hyuk is standing all the way across the arena, hovering over an unconscious suit. A brief flashback explains the scene. He is looting the guard who tried to stop him earlier. He secures the black market entry ticket from the man's pocket. Back in the present, the crowd erupts, baffled that an F-rank player just caused that much destruction. Jin-hyuk ignores the noise and crouches next to his old museum buddies. The two veterans freeze, terrified of the kid who dismantled them last time. He plays the friendly diplomat, claiming he wants to bury the hatchet. He holds his hand out, asking for Yuri's number as a sign of goodwill. Yuri clutches her phone, knowing exactly what this means. His smile widens. It is absolutely a threat. She hands over the device, her pride shattered. Up in the stands, Do-hyun bursts into laughter. He steps down into the arena, deciding this kid is an interesting target. Jin-hyuk activates the Eye of Truth before the man even opens his mouth. The interface reveals Do-hyun's stats, a level 21 showman class with a specific theft condition. Do-hyun puts his hands up, claiming he didn't come to fight. He puts on a bright, fake smile, suggesting they team up as colleagues. He extends his hand for a friendly shake. The Eye of Truth glows yellow. The system catches the lie before the words even settle. A vision reveals his real plan. He is concealing an intense inferiority complex. He intends to use his Giant's Grasp skill to crush the rookie's hand in front of the press. Figuring out the target's true malicious intent satisfies the theft condition. The system confirms the steal. Giant's Grasp is added to the arsenal. Taking skills from arrogant veterans is like playing a rigged claw machine. Jin-hyuk gladly prepares to return the gesture. Do-hyun thinks his manipulation is working flawlessly. Jin-hyuk plays along, asking if the guild will match his price. Their hands clasp together. Do-hyun bares his teeth, ready to break some bones. Jin-hyuk drops the friendly act and asks if the bruiser really thinks he can win. Do-hyun thinks the question is a joke. He clamps down hard, pouring his mana into the grip. Giant's Grasp activates, amplifying his raw power. He expects the rookie to drop to his knees screaming. Jin-hyuk stands perfectly still, unbothered. The golden scales of Anubis materialize behind the bruiser. Do-hyun freezes, realizing his body won't respond. The divine judgment slices his stats right down the middle. Jin-hyuk squeezes back, crushing the larger man to his knees. He mocks the AAA rank fighter for having a fragile ego. Raw magic crackles between their locked hands. Do-hyun shrieks in absolute agony as his hand gets pulverized. Jin-hyuk swings his arm, tossing the heavy fighter like a ragdoll. He slams him directly into the arena floor. The impact craters the concrete beneath his back. Jin-hyuk stands over the wreckage. A massive explosion erupts from the VIP bleachers. Jin-hyuk's eyes lock onto the incoming threat. Guild Master Diokpyo loses his mind, his level 34 stats surging with rage. Jin-hyuk tells the old man to be patient. Diokpyo ignores the warning, furious that his prized recruit was publicly humiliated. The kid refuses to flinch, knowing he hasn't even used his best cards yet. Diokpyo vaults the railing, diving straight for the arena floor. He brings the full weight of his blood demon energy down toward the target. Jin-hyuk raises a hand and unleashes a blinding flash of daylight. He reaches for his weapon under the cover of the flashbang. He downs a potion and triggers his stored gap points. Diokpyo swings right through the afterimage, hitting empty air. The massive level difference vanishes entirely. Jin-hyuk now holds the high ground. Diokpyo roars, preparing a lethal counterstrike. A wave of green magic intercepts his movement, locking him in place. The guild master strains against the binding spell. Polished shoes step onto the battlefield. Jin-hyuk turns to see who interrupted his fun. Han Sang-jin, president of the Awakened Association, arrives with his entourage. Diokpyo demands the executive step aside so he can finish the fight. Sang-jin tells the angry guild master to calm down. He turns his back on Diokpyo and introduces himself to the real priority. A quick flashback reveals the emergency call Sang-jin received regarding the impossible test results. His staff confirmed the anomalous power reading from the rookie. Back in the arena, Sang-jin addresses the boy with total respect. The most powerful man in Korean politics bows deeply to an unregistered player. He publicly declares Kang Jin-hyuk the 16th S-rank player in the country. The press box explodes. Reporters stampede toward the stage. Do-hyun lies in the rubble, realizing he just tried to bully a god. Diokpyo seethes, realizing he just picked a fight with a national asset. He grabs a passing reporter, desperate to salvage his guild's reputation. The reporter brushes him off, entirely focused on the new S-rank. Diokpyo Hyo drops to his knees in the dust. Cameras flash like rapid gunfire around Jinhyuk. Destroying the guild master's pride fulfills the final theft condition. By the next morning, Jinhyuk's face is plastered across every digital news feed. He lounges in a private waiting room, satisfied with his new fame. Sang-jin personally apologizes for the inconvenience and offers a private flight as compensation. The massive luxury jet cuts through the clouds toward Las Vegas. Inside the cabin, the service is flawless. Jinhyuk enjoys a first-class steak while keeping his pocket vampire starving. A blonde man in a sharp white suit walks down the aisle. Jinhyuk notices the heavy, metallic stench of blood right away. Even Alice hisses at the foul scent coming from the stranger. The Eye of Truth scans him. Alex Judro, level 27, necromancer of the Demon Society. Jinhyuk realizes the cultists sent an operative to intercept him. Alex stops, acting surprised as if this is a random fan encounter. He flashes a charming smile, pretending he just recognized the new S-rank. Jinhyuk knows the Demon Society holds a grudge from the Olympus meeting. Alex takes the seat directly across from him. He hands over a sleek business card, playing the role of a legitimate businessman. He offers to buy him a drink to pass the long flight. Jinhyuk agrees, deciding to play along with the charade for now. The flight attendant brings over a bottle of expensive cognac. Alex spends the next few minutes weaving a fake backstory about his cosmetic business. He claims he adapted to the tower's appearance like any other corporate survivor. They sit across from each other, playing a dangerous game of pleasantries. Jinhyuk listens to the lies, amused by the cultists' acting skills. Alex sets his glass down, shifting the tone. He cuts the small talk, mentioning his business actually revolves around awakened players. He takes a slow sip, bringing up a minor problem. He asks if Jinhyuk knows anything about the famous masked player. Jinhyuk plays dumb, asking what that has to do with cosmetics. Alex explains his group was planning to raid the third-floor boss, but the masked player ruined their operation, putting them in a troubling situation. Jinhyuk observes him coldly, noting the thinly veiled threat. He smiles, calling the masked player a selfish jerk for getting in their way. The tension in the cabin thickens with the clink of ice. Alex pours another round and drops his true proposal. He asks Jinhyuk to join their raid team instead of going solo. He warns that the major guilds promised the boss to the masked player, making it a restricted zone. Jinhyuk pushes the glass away. A mere promise of entry isn't enough to buy his loyalty. Alex smiles, prepared for the negotiation. He sweetens the pot, pulling out a glowing blue elixir, a legendary potion capable of healing fatal wounds and destroyed organs. Jinhyuk is surprised the cultists acquired something so valuable. He takes the bottle, admiring the heavy magic radiating from the glass. But Alex pulls out a document. The elixir is just the prepayment. He activates the contract of the dead, sliding the pen across the table. Dark magic bleeds from the edges of the paper. The contract looks normal to the naked eye, but the magical signature is lethal. Signing it binds the soul. Break the deal and death is instantaneous. Jinhyuk pushes the paper back, claiming he's too cautious for binding agreements. Alex drops his smile, disappointed the bait failed. He reaches to take his potion back. He stops, realizing the kid isn't letting go. Jinhyuk grips the elixir. He smirks, declaring that he takes whatever he wants, contract or no contract. Alex grits his teeth, enraged by the blatant robbery. Jinhyuk challenges the cultist to do something about it. Alex kicks his chair back. He slams his fist onto the table. He floods the cabin with mana. The entire plane shakes as the speakers announce severe turbulence. Jinhyuk stands up, unbothered by the shaking cabin. Alex demands to know how he saw through the disguise. He promises that defying the Demon Society comes with a fatal price. Jinhyuk looks back over his shoulder. He calls out the cult's pathetic scam at the Olympus Guild meeting. Alex freezes, his eyes wide with shock. He realizes this kid possesses classified intel about their secret operations. The jet touches down on the runway before the standoff can escalate. Welcome to Las Vegas, the city of neon lights and broken dreams. Massive fountains dance in front of the illuminated casinos. Digital billboards light up the desert sky. Alice stares up, mesmerized by human architecture. Jinhyuk warns her to keep her fangs hidden. They aren't here for sightseeing. He pulls up his system menu, ready to upgrade his arsenal before the auction. He fuses the Eye of Truth with his stored blood demon chi. The combination forges the SSS rank Eye of Gluttony, a skill that pierces barriers and reads minds. He closes the window and calls out to his contractor. Alice points at a standard casino eager to play. Jinhyuk shuts it down. Taking money from regular humans without magic is a waste of time. He refuses to rob ordinary people just to fund his auction bid. Alice crosses her arms, asking where the real money is. He smiles. They are going somewhere incomparable. They arrive at Tortuga, a private underground gambling house for awakened players. Alice complains about the shabby exterior until a scream interrupts her. A man gets thrown out the front doors, crying about getting scammed by magic. A guard kicks him in the face, silencing the complaints. Jinhyuk steps right over the bleeding loser. In this place, the weak deserve to get robbed. Alice nods in agreement with the brutal logic. She floats inside, thrilled by the luxury and chaos of the main floor. This is a lawless zone where players use magic to rig the games. He drops Alice at the bar, telling the staff staff to put everything on his tab. Alice demands the most expensive drink they have. Jin-hyuk leaves her to it and heads straight for the high-stakes tables. He sits down and quietly activates Source Seal, blocking his opponent's skills for 10 minutes. The dealer, Pedro, sweats. He's already lost $500,000 to this new guy. Pedro pushes the cards forward, declaring the final round. Jin-hyuk casually spins a chip through his fingers. He grabs his entire massive stack of winnings. He pushes $5 million in chips to the center of the table. All in. Pedro smirks. The house never loses a high-stakes round. Jin-hyuk takes a sip of his drink, casually asking which guild runs this dirty joint. Pedro answers confidently, backed by the Scavenger Guild's muscle. The dealer gets annoyed by the sudden interrogation. Pedro freezes. A cold sweat breaks out on his neck as he realizes the kid might be reading his mind. He decides to end it quickly, reaching to flip his cards. He activates strange gestures, attempting to swap the cards with fire magic. He flips his hand, expecting an ace. He stares at a pair of jacks in pure horror. Jin-hyuk's Source Seal nullified the cheating skill. Jin-hyuk flips a pair of kings, casually claiming the massive pile of chips. The new eye of gluttony made reading the dealer's rigged deck effortless. He reaches across the felt to collect his winnings. The sound of heavy leather shoes surrounds the table. Tortuga's muscle circles him. Nobody walks away with the house's money. A massive enforcer cracks his knuckles, preparing to teach the customer a lesson. The floor manager arrives, his face twisted in anger. He orders his men to drag the cheater into the back room. The massive enforcer instantly flies backward, crashing into the ceiling. A guard pulls a revolver and opens fire. Jin-hyuk dodges the bullets with ease. Across the room, the other patrons watch the brawl erupt. Alice ignores the gunfire, enjoying her kiss of fire cocktail at the bar. The red liquid shimmers in the crystal glass. She sips her drink calmly while Jin-hyuk sets the entire casino security team on fire. She finds the human violence lame compared to her own power. The manager watches his elite security team get tossed across the room like bowling pins. He realizes this is no ordinary card counter. Jin-hyuk cracks a guard's jaw, tearing through the defenses without breaking a sweat. A subordinate rushes over in a panic, shoving a phone into the manager's hand. The manager stares at the screen, his face draining of color. He reads the headline. The guy dismantling his casino is Korea's newest S-rank player. He swallows hard. There are less than 20 S-ranks in the entire United States. He realizes that if an S-rank gets serious, the entire building will become a crater. He screams for everyone to hold their fire. He scrambles forward, waving his arms to surrender. He drops to his knees, begging for mercy for causing trouble. Jin-hyuk dusts off his coat, annoyed by the sudden interruption. The manager stammers, terrified the kid will burn the place down. Jin-hyuk leans over him, reminding him of his own rules. The losers here are dumbass. He demands compensation for his game earnings and the mental damage of being interrupted. He names his price, $10 million to walk away quietly. He grabs the manager by the collar. Pay up or close the business permanently. The wire transfer clears instantly. He slips into the back seat of a waiting luxury car. The driver verifies his VVIP black market ticket. The tinted windows conceal his identity as they speed away. They arrive at a sprawling, heavily guarded mansion far outside the city limits. The massive iron gates swing open for the wealthiest players on the planet. Jin-hyuk orders Alice to stay hidden inside her ring. He doesn't need high-tier players sensing a demonic aura in the room. Alice complains, wanting to enjoy the perfect night air. He ignores her whining and heads toward the grand entrance. The main hall is packed with guild elites dressed in formal wear. He blends into the crowd, scanning the competition. The crowd murmurs rumors about a legendary dragon's heart appearing tonight. Alice suddenly sniffs the air, her red eyes narrowing. She covers her nose, disgusted by a foul stench. A cloaked old man with a skull staff steps directly into their path. Urius Kedrick introduces himself as the master of the idiot Alex. Alex stands behind him, his face bruised from the airplane encounter. Jin-hyuk activates his Eye of Gluttony. Level 30 Necromancer. The old man possesses a perfect summoner ability, Guardian of the Pyramid. The theft condition is absurdly specific. Receive an A+ grade in his black magic lesson. Jin-hyuk smiles, casually thanking the old man for his disciple's generous elixir gift. Kedrick ignores the bait, stating he came to extract information about the masked player. Jin-hyuk brushes past him, refusing to entertain the interrogation. The heavy skull staff slams against his chest, blocking the path. The necromancer's eyes glow with murderous intent. He vows to end the boy's life soon. Jin-hyuk pushes the death stick away. He looks down at the old man, unfazed by the threat. Alex grits his teeth as the rookie walks away unscathed. Kedrick holds his disciple back. Violence inside the auction house is strictly forbidden. Alice offers to tear the old man's throat out for being annoying. Jin-hyuk tells her to behave. He only came here to buy his items and leave. The lights dim. The auctioneer takes the main stage to welcome the guests. He slams his gavel, officially opening the 175th annual black market. The first item hits the screen, a massive meteorite fragment loaded with raw magic. The bidding opens at a meager $10,000. The crowd bids low, hesitant to spend money on an unrefined rock. Jin-hyuk knows nobody in this era possesses the forging skills to actually use it. He smiles. This is the perfect chance chance to rob the market blind. He raises his paddle, intending to scoop it up for pocket change. Paddle flashes from the back of the room. The auctioneer screams into the mic. A new bid hits the floor for $1 million. Jin-hyuk turns his head. Someone else in this room knows exactly what that stone is worth.